This program features live coverage of an African safari and may include animal kills and carcasses. Viewer discretion is advised.
Good morning, good morning. I hope you all are so well. Here you're looking at a view which is basically telling you my plan. If you recognize this road, this is the road to the hyena den here on Djuma Game Reserve in the Sabi Sands. And I'm very excited because I'm hoping that they will be around. And that is my plan for the day, is that I'm going to go check out the hyenas and hopefully spend some time with them. If not, let's just listen out for what clues the bush might give us today. Still a beautiful view, a little bit gloomy, but I think an exciting morning. So jump on board, everybody, for your live safari through the African bush. So here we are, almost at the hyena den, and we are feeling very excited. When I say we, it's me, Trishala, and Gert on camera with me this morning on Djuma Game Reserve, and it's a bit cool, cooler than usual. It's about 17 degrees Celsius, 63 degrees Fahrenheit. And I wanted to have a bit of a rolling start so we could get to the den together. I always feel like I have good luck when we arrive at the den together, especially if we haven't seen them in a while. And we're out here in the bush. It's 50% skill, 50% luck most of the time. Now remember, this is your safari, so please use the hashtag WildEarth or @FC in the YouTube stream and give us all your comments and ask us all your questions. We'd love to hear from you. Shall we just pop in and see the Battis nest quickly? So the helmet shrike nest that was close by is empty. It's been empty for a while. But the Battis nest, when I checked it last, it was empty. But the day before, it wasn't. And, there it is. The chick is so small that I think I could have actually just missed it. So this is the chin spot Battis nest, the one that's not very far from the helmet shrike nest where the male Battis was feeding regularly. The chicks, the helmet shrike chicks. Here's the female. Brooding. Good morning, gorgeous. Oh, that's really nice. So obviously when we came the other day, the chick was lying low, keeping a low profile. She wouldn't be sitting here if there wasn't a chick. Remember that nests are only built when there are eggs and chicks to rear. They're not where birds live. So it's not their house. They only use them when they're breeding. So cool. During this season, this time of year, you can find really epic things. Things what you may think are insignificant, or we would just drive past if we were a normal game drive. Megan, good morning. You say you love the markings on this bird. It's beautiful. It really, really is. So this is the female, and that's why she's got that chestnutty color on her breast and the spot under her chin. And the male doesn't have the spot or the chestnut color. Really lovely markings. This was such an amazing find. And now my eyes are sharpened to good nesting sites on a tree. So as I drive, I keep looking for them. It's so cute to see them grow up. In fact, I think we'll also visit that other helmet strike nest that's in the southwestern corner of Juma, the one where there are chicks. Those ones were much bigger than the helmet strike nest that's close by. And we'll see how those are doing. Plus, the chameleon lives near those as well. We can visit the chameleon. I think that's a great plan for the morning. Brent, you say this is so cute to watch. I think Mrs. Battis here also thought so, because she gave us a cute little yawn as I was fed through that comment. So we will only ever see her sitting on the nest. The male does not brood, but he'll go and fetch food and bring it back to the nest. And then sometimes they'll leave together if they want to both feed. It's wonderful to see the behavior that you read about in books. That's a lovely testicular call. Notoriously difficult to get onto camera. Alright, well, we're going to head to the hyena den now, not too far at all, and I'm going to send you over to somebody else at Djuma Game Reserve. It's not just me out and about guiding you this morning.
Well, hopefully the hyenas are out and about for Trishada. Hopefully they're going to be very, very busy. We're up on the sort of northwestern corner of Juma at the moment, not because we're looking for Tingi this morning, but because there were reports of the Pungwe pack of dogs on the western side of Triple M coming towards Juma last night. So I'm trying to see if I can pick up any sign of their tracks. It looks like some track that's in the road here. It's tricky this morning. We had a bit of rain again last night, which is making life quite hard when it comes to actually seeing tracks. And so far I've only picked up hyena tracks, and these tracks that are kind of snaking their way along Weird axis are for hyenas at the moment. But interestingly enough, we did find a track for a female leopard that wasn't Shadulu, heading into the exact same area as Tingana and Shadulu and where they were. So I don't know who that is. It must be Tlalamba that was milling about there as well. But we lost the track kind of going towards that area, unfortunately. But before we get into all of that stuff and do all those things, I actually need to tell you who I am. My name is Tristan. On camera, I've got Marcel this morning. And like I say, hopefully, we're going to have a productive morning with doggies somewhere around this area. I got so excited about telling you about the fact that we were looking for dogs that I forgot to even tell you who I was, which is not ideal. But like I say, with the dogs, the Pungwe pack particularly, they love to come in on this northern sector and kind of hang around this sort of top end of Juma, and then sometimes even into Buffelshoek a little bit. So it's always why we check up here first and then work our way southwards along the boundary to see if they've popped out. With the kind of weather that we've had, though, in this dark, cloudy, windy, rainy kind of, I don't even know what to describe it as, mush, probably the best way to describe it. The dogs might not have been very active yesterday at all. So once they've hunted, they then settle down. If it's a full moon, clear night, then you'll find that the dogs actually move quite a bit during the night, whereas when it's difficult for them to see, they tend to just sit and stay in a pretty similar area. So they might only be just getting going now, and they haven't covered the distance to us yet, but it'll just be worth checking and double checking and rechecking this area, and eventually hopefully we'll get an update as to where they are, if they're still that side, and if not, we pick them up on this side. But always check carefully in this area, because there's so many game paths here that so many different animals like to cross. There's multiple different leopards in this area. Lions often use this, particularly that Shimungwe female. And then you've got, obviously, like I said, the dogs. Lots of ellie herds that cross where we are now. So it's a place where you've got to go a little bit slower and just check very, very carefully. There's lots of little pathways that cut off, and the reason for that is that it's connecting a pan inside Simambili called One-Eyed Pan and Sydney's Dam. And so it's kind of a thoroughfare for a lot of animals to go from water point to water point. And so you see a lot of movement in this particular section. Also, if you look on the map, I'll show you guys now. So if you look here on this map, you'll see that this top section comes along and it goes like this, and then it comes down. Now, Gowrie Gate, which is, we're on vertical access, so we're over here at this little junction with this little road. You can see it's there, and so there's a choke point that happens with animals that move in the Manuleti and Buffelshoek. They all have to come down to this point to then go back into the Sabi Sands. The rest of the Sabi Sands kind of comes down this way. So it's a kind of choke-off point for everything, and everything needs to sort of move this and then cut this corner to come down. And it's why there's a lot that happens in this small little section. There's water, like I say, on both sides. There's an open clearing, so a lot of animals like to kind of hang around in that little area and then kind of move off into the rest of the Sabi Sands from there. So we'll just kind of check if maybe today our gut feel is good and we find what we're looking for. I'm hoping so. Also hoping we'll see the sun at some point. It's been overcast the whole of yesterday, and today does not look any better. It looks as though we've got a huge amount of cloud again. Now, there's tracks here, but I can't see for who they are. The ground is so hard in this area, it's difficult to pick up exactly what is walking here. Looks like potentially hyenas again. Alright, I'm going to just double check this area and just make 100% sure with those tracks. In the meantime though, I'm going to send you across to Tessa up at andBeyond in Ngala. She seems to be watching a few monkeys.
It's a beautiful overcast morning here at andBeyond in Ngala. I'm sitting in the Timbavati riverbed with a massive troop of baboons that are playing and foraging along the bank. And they are really enjoying this nice cool weather. It's actually really, really fun to watch baboons, especially at this time of the morning when they're moving around so much. The youngsters are all trying to tackle each other, and some of the older ones just sit and groom each other. So I actually came down here this morning looking for leopards and wild dogs, but I found the baboons for now, so I'll stick with them. My name is Tessa. I'm going to be your guide this morning at andBeyond in Ngala. Behind the camera we have BK this morning, and we are looking for leopards and wild dogs along the stretch of the river. There were reports of 2 leopards here last night, and so that's why we actually came down here. But if you have a look, the baboons look incredibly relaxed this morning. And so I don't think the leopards are here this morning. They would be a very good indicator if there was a leopard here with that loud bark and alarm call that they do. But those youngsters are having such a good time chasing each other around. So this is part of a very big troop of baboons, the biggest at andBeyond in Ngala. There are between 150 and 200 baboons in this troop. The rest of them are all over on the banks, up the trees. And they're actually quite hard to see. They camouflage quite well, especially in this dull, cloudy light. There is a very tiny baby playing there on a log. Another of the little ones. Butterfly, yes. Baboons are incredibly fun to watch, and there are a lot of them here. They can be quite naughty, but they are always fun to watch. I think especially the teenagers, they almost go through a phase. Like this morning, there you can see two teenagers tackling each other in the riverbed, wrestling on the ground. They just seem to have so much energy. They must have slept very well last night. Listen to all the beautiful birds around us. Got some crested barbets calling. A bush shrike as well. There's always so many doves calling in the mornings. I think that they are actually going to try and find the rest of the troop. Anna Marie, it's an incredibly large troop of baboons. It's always fun to sit with this particular troop because there are so many that everywhere that you look, there's always something different happening. So it's almost like you don't know where to look because there's so much going on. They really do have a lot of energy this morning. Those ones seem to be the lazy ones sitting in the riverbed, still grooming each other. So there's actually some of the teenagers playing on a log. I don't know if we'll be able to get it, but I'm going to try and actually swing in reverse for you because they are having such a good time on a log there. They're practicing their climbing skills. Have a look at them there. Jenny, baboons, and particularly chacma baboons, are actually threatened. So you would think that they would be quite successful. They are found in quite a few places all over South Africa, and there's quite a few different species as well that you can find. But in South Africa alone, we have just the chacma baboon in this area, and they are actually threatened. So if you go to Cape Town and places like that, they actually have projects specifically to study the baboons and monitor the troop movements and things like that. They seem like they are everywhere and quite a nuisance, but in fact a lot of people see them as pests, and so a lot of people will kill them. And so they actually are threatened at the moment. There is a tiny little newborn baby. I don't know if you'll be able to see it because they're playing rough and tumble with it over there in the bank, but it's black. And it's still got the little pink face. There it is being wrestled with by two others. There it goes back to its mum, up the log. That little one will honestly be a week or two old. It is still very young, just learning how to climb. Those little ones are having such a good time. They're actually testing their strength, practicing their skills by jumping up that log and trying to pull themselves up. I can hear a white-bellied sunbird in the background. Not sure. Baboons have a bare butt because that is what they sit on all the time. So it wouldn't make sense to have too much hair there. They need a bit of padding for when they're sitting down. So that section is bare. It also keeps them a bit cleaner. They don't want to be messing all over themselves. So it's a bit of padding, but also a bit of hygiene as well. And you'll actually find that bare patch in females is what shows when a female's coming into estrus, when she's ready to mate. that bare patch becomes incredibly bright pink, almost red, and it swells. And that's her sign to the males of the troop that she is ready to mate. But that bare patch is majority just padding when they're sitting in the trees. They spend a lot of their time on their butt region, as you put it so nicely, on their butt region, sitting in the trees, as you can see they are now. I think it's also a good follow me marker as well when they're walking. A pink patch is much easier to follow than the fur that blends in. It's almost like the little family sitting there. It's a big male on the other side and some youngsters playing. They look like acrobats when they do that. So you can imagine how strong a baboon actually is. I think people underestimate them. Incredibly strong to be able to hang onto a branch and pull yourself up like a pull-up. They're incredibly hard to do. And these baboons are so agile and so strong. They've got very, very strong forearms. So they can quite easily pull themselves up a tree. You can imagine this would be very important for them because they don't want to fall out of a tall tree. And especially not if there is a predator around. You really want to make sure you can actually save yourself by pulling yourself up a tree. Even if it's a flimsy branch, they need to make sure that they're doing all of this playing when they're younger so that they can build that strength. And also, I think the confidence in themselves to climb those branches really nicely and be able to get away from especially leopards in this area. Leopards are particularly fond of baboons, and leopards will actually climb a tree after a baboon right to the top and to the thin branches that won't even hold their weight. That one fell on its face. Oh my goodness. So all the youngsters seem to be moving towards the bank to start climbing trees. And you can actually see that very young black one is climbing the bank on the grass with two others. It's trying to practice climbing up the side there. Have a look at that. It keeps slipping. And you see that, and the others are actually trying to help it, but it keeps slipping. So it's still very early on in the stages of learning. Oh, that youngster's actually picked it up on its belly. How cute is that? Not often you see a teenager carrying a baby in the baboon society. It's struggling to carry it. Random stuff, absolutely. Baboons will eat a variety of fruits, especially things like baobab fruits, jackalberries, jacket plums. Oh, that one fell right out the tree. Yes, they will eat baobab fruits, and baobab fruits are actually incredibly useful. Can you hear the baboon in the background? They must be having a bit of a dominant spat. But yes, baboons are particularly fond of any of those fruits. So baboons are quite interesting because they're omnivorous. They can eat meat, they can eat berries, they can eat grasses, seeds, flowers they're particularly fond of as well, even some roots for water. But they can even stomach the poisonous things as well. So they are quite unique in that their digestive system is incredibly strong. That little one's trying to grab onto the other one's tail. But it's actually interesting to see that all of these teenagers are almost fussing over that tiny little newborn, trying to teach it and trying to carry it. So this is them practicing as well. Oh my goodness, it's struggling to hold it. So all of this rough playing is very good for that little one. It could get injured, but I think, it's more important that it is learning. Doesn't often happen that a little one will get injured by others. That branch really is the place to be this morning for all of the young baboons. What? Okay, they're all moving. What I'm actually going to do is I'm going to swing you backwards a little bit again. There's just so much action happening here this morning. I don't want you to miss any of it. They've actually found a bigger tree now that's fallen over into the riverbed, and it's got the most beautiful leopard orchid in it, which is very nice to see. Right, so I'm going to stop you there. Let's see if BK can get that nice big tree. Look at that fallen tree. It's like a baboon statue right now. And right in the middle of the tree, can you see that beautiful yellow flower? That is called a leopard orchid. They grow up in the trees. They only flower once a year for a week or two maximum. So you're very lucky to see it flowering. The whole troop is trying to climb this tree now. They're hanging from the top branch. So 50, the average lifespan for baboons is, it would actually depend on the region, to be perfectly honest. But in this region, I would say maybe about 12 years. I don't think they'd get much older than that. But in some regions, they have been known to get quite a bit older, especially, you know, if you look at baboons in captivity, they can live quite a lot longer. That big male's chasing the little ones out the tree. He got a bit angry with them. I think it would also depend, Sir 50, on male versus female, because males might get kicked out of a troop, so they might be more vulnerable. Females usually stay with the troop, so they might live longer. Everybody's calmed down for a second now. Oh, no, they haven't. They've just moved it down the riverbed. They really do look like they're having an awesome time this morning. And that's to do with the weather. You know, it's nice and overcast, it's cool. There's a woodland kingfisher and a tawny-flanked prrnier calling in the background. That's the woodland kingfisher. That's the tawny-flanked prrnier. It sounds like a mouse hiccuping to me. That's how I remembered it when I was training. I pictured it as a mouse hiccuping. But this beautiful overcast weather is perfect this morning, and especially for the predators. You know, we're looking for leopards, we're looking for wild dogs. And so this weather is really going to mean that they'll be a bit more active this morning. So that's what I'm hoping for. That baboon looks like it's going to fall out of the tree next to the big male at the top. It's hanging. So baboons will have an incredibly high respect for dominant males within a troop. And I think that one on the left is one of the more dominant males. I think the one further to the right is also a fairly dominant male. And what will happen is, within this troop, those males, what they're actually doing is they're being sentinels or guards. Whoop, good jump. Wow. So they're watching to make sure there's no predators coming, but also watching out for all of the baboons. And they'll spread themselves amongst this massive troop. There'll be one or two really dominant males that do most of the mating, and the rest of the males spread themselves out and follow the rest of the troop around the edges to make sure that they are safe. A big male baboon could quite easily take a leopard on, actually. Their teeth, their canines in particular, are actually longer than a leopard's. So they can be quite dangerous. Crested francolins calling in the background. We've got another newborn coming along underneath Mum's stomach. They're actually walking down towards the rest of the troop. So here you can see how this 200 is made up. It's like little families, and they're all sticking together and coming in at different stages. Here's the tiny little one hanging on the mom's belly. That one is actually even younger than the other little one we saw, because its fur hasn't even started changing color yet. It's still completely black. So that is a proper newborn. Imagine the strength that baboons are born with to be able to hold on to their mother's fur like that. 2 little newborns in that section. They must have very strong fingers to hold on and not fall off when mum's running and they're hanging off mum's chest. So I'm sure some of our viewers have seen it, but as they start getting older, they don't necessarily hang on the stomach anymore. They actually sit on the mom's back just above the tail. It's quite comical to watch when the mom's running. So they look like they're moving on to the next tree, which is the next play area for all of the little ones. And the adults are going to start foraging from here. So they'll actually start moving onto the banks, looking for seeds, looking for insects, berries as well. This time of the year, there's a lot of berries around. Some of the guaris have berries. They're actually playing in a guari tree at the moment. Okay, so I'm going to move a little bit further down the riverbed for you again, see if we can catch up with those baboons. But it's always interesting watching them in the morning. They give you a really good amount of playing. And especially with the size of this troop, you know, like I said earlier, there's always something different happening. They're now pushing each other out of a big green tree. I'll see if I can get you a little bit closer. They're trying to jump up one tree at the moment to get to the one that's sitting at the top. And they're all just falling out again. So they're all having a nice good play at the moment of these trees. I'm definitely going to sit with them for a little bit longer. And you're actually going to head over towards Tswalu, where she's looking for some hyenas.
We are still on the search, so I have been informed by lovely Gers that there was a chameleon close to camp, so we had to rush up. Obviously, we had to rush up and have a look. But nothing so far. So we're going to go and continue on our usual mission, and that was to visit that helmet shrike nest that was in the southwestern corner. And of course, stop for anything along the way. I'm looking for tracks. I'm sure Tristan told you about his endeavor to find the dogs today. So I'm going to keep an eye out for tracks for him as well. Tracks for anything, actually. I'm ready for all the animals to come forth and be my friend. And I'm particularly missing elephants. That's a lot of plans for the day. Basically, what I'm saying is, whatever the bush brings us, we'll be happy with. You can see we are now slowly driving through a silver cluster leaf thicket, and that's the one that's on Zoe's road. Isn't it beautiful? It's very beautiful. It's just also very stinky at the moment. I think we're quite lucky in that lots of them are not, or too many of them aren't flowering at the same time, so it's a drawn out stinkiness. Anyway, I'm heading down south, so I'm going to send you over to Pisani in the meantime. He's got a lovely buffalo herd.
Welcome to Pinda and beyond. We are currently sitting with the buffalo bulls. Seems like they're also moving away. taking a slowly move. Earlier on, we were so lucky enough to get them around this waterhole. Hi, my name is Busane, and behind the camera we have Clan. And today we have found these buffalo bulls. It seems like they slowly are moving away and busy trailing the herd. So the herd will walk into that direction where they're going. You can just see the size of their horns. And they're slowly moving away, perhaps to find a nice, good grazing spot. So buffaloes are the animals that are active early hours of the morning and late in the afternoon. So they have to drink twice a day. Oh, look at that big male. He's chasing the younger male away. Have a look how he stopped and he's watching us. He's got his ears facing this direction. Perhaps he can hear me. Clear, they have very good sense of hearing. Now off he goes, trying to keep up with the rest of the herd. So the rest of the herd, they just gone up onto the ridge. And we're about to lose them now. So mostly at the front of the herd, there will be old wise females and the males. There's some zebras that are coming to have a morning drink as well. So the buffaloes are slowly moving away, but we've got some zebras here. There's still more zebras coming. Oh, look at that zebra making a big yawn. He's going around because it's quite muddy here on this pen system. There's another pen system a little bit further up where he's going to. So by the looks of it, this is just the bachelor herd of zebras. And have a look at the one in the front, on his front leg. He's got a bite mark, perhaps from fighting with another male. So within this bachelor herd, they will do a lot of dominancy. There we go. He's just gone down to drink water. It's really nice to see the stripes patting of the zebras. See, these two, they just want to scan around before they go down to drink. Because they know that predators, sometimes they do spend time around the water holes and waiting for any opportunity of the animals that are going down to drink water. And they know that if they all are drinking at the same time, you see, they just taking turns to make sure that there's nothing approaching behind them. If they hear a tiny little movement, they quickly stop drinking and looking around. Because if they all got their head down, they don't know what's coming. Wow, the one on the far right, he's really enjoying. He's been drinking for quite some time. Oh, had some movement. Look at him. And it's still nice in the morning. We've got some clouds above us. Seems like it's going to be a good weather than yesterday. HL, I do also love the zebras. Have a look at the stripes pattern. Does go all the way up to the mane. That's really amazing. So these are partial zebra, the same zebras that they have in East Africa, but the ones in East Africa, they don't have a shadow stripes in between the black stripe, that brownish stripe. It's really amazing to see them. Now they all got one, just lift up the head. So the reason why I said these are males, not females, have a look just under their tail. They've got a black line that run from under the tail and between the back legs. So that black line, they've got like thinner black line. If those were females, they'll have much thicker black line. So these are nice younger males. Oh, it's very slippery there. But he did manage to go out. Seems like they've seen something somewhere on the left hand side where they're looking. Off they goes. Have a look at the one that's on the far right on the side of the body. Oh, it's just a red-billed oxpecker just landed on the one. Shame. These two are gonna start following shortly. You can hear some impalas at the distance busy rotting. But the rotting season is now almost over. And the impalas are busy lambing now. You don't really expect the impalas to be doing that, because most of the females are pregnant. Have a look at the stripes pattern of those zebras that are drinking now on their forehead. Wow, they've got some nice patterns. So have a look at the one that's walking away now. It's quite dirty on its side. It was just rolling itself down on a date to try to get away, to take off the fleas that they have. I think what are we going to do? We're gonna head off and try to find ourselves a cheetah. We're busy looking for cheetah and the 3 small cubs this morning. So we're going to try to cover some ground and try to increase chances of finding a cheetah.
The Balanites mugami, or the torchwood. And we can hear the wonderful woodland kingfishers. So I thought we could just sit and appreciate and listen for just a little bit. That was really cool, don't you think? I'm glad to have shared that moment with you all.
Dumela, good morning and welcome to a wonderful morning here on Tswalu Kalahari. My name is Kyle and behind camera is Owen, and we have decided to come and do a little update on the Rockstar Meerkat group. We've been focusing a little bit of time and attention on the Mukala group. Because of those brand new additions. Good morning, my name is Carl, and we've decided just to do a little update on these fantastic little guys because we haven't seen them for a couple of weeks, and we just thought that we'd just do a little update to see how everybody is doing. So this individual that has emerged first is on high alert. We just had a jackal run past, and you could see the behavior change on a dime. But it's now moved off quite far, which is now no more of a threat to this little animal, but vigilance still needs to be kept to a very high degree. All the white-browed sparrow weavers calling around us. And that sun is quite warm already. It was fairly chilly coming out here this morning, and then that cold snap was changed very quickly. And that's a sheer indication that it is going to be quite warm today. I think we'll be hitting the 35, 36 degree mark today. Got to be risky business, the individual that comes out first, obviously putting everything on the line for the colony. So this individual would have emerged very slowly from that burrow, and then as quickly as possible positioned itself on a high point and upright. It would have stood just to give itself an extra height advantage. Ada, I think the question was, are the meerkats used to us? Yes, so Tswalu has had this as a guest activity for the past, I think it's closer to 10 plus years now. And so from protocols and procedures that have been put into play, the guides, along with the guests, would have had to stick to certain parameters just to ensure the safety of them and then also their just general respect. Just give general respect to these animals. And over the years, they have seen us as positive instead of negative. And so over time, we have built this relationship to such a degree that we can be within very close proximity to these animals, 3-4 meters at times. They're foraging around us. And they go on by doing their natural thing, as if we were not even there, which is fantastic. It's really amazing to be on foot in a vast, pristine environment like this, and these animals do what they need to do, and us not affecting them in any manner. In terms of watching behavior, it's fantastic, because if these animals if they were exposed to any negative behavior, this individual wouldn't be as such. All right, we're going to wait for the rest of the group, and we're going to send you over to Fani to take a look at some zebra.
Welcome back, everyone. We just found some zebras, a wildebeest, and have a look at the distance. There's a rhino just lying down, and on top of the rhino, that's a pied crow. It's quite dark or black, and white around or just at the back of the neck. And at the distance, passing line with those rhinos, you can see there's two elephant bulls. And there's some warthogs as well. This is really amazing. It's really a nice spot to be. I'm so happy to be here. It looks like that rhino, you can just see now and then it's moving its ear. And behind it, you can just see there's another rhino. So there's two rhinos there. See, it's moving around. So probably those rhinos they're still sleeping. So they will get up a little bit later in the day and start grazing along. Wow. And the wildebeest are lying down. So now we are in the time of the year whereby we'll be able to see the wildebeest giving birth. So you see the one that she's walking toward the ones that are lying down. She's busy grooming herself now. That wildebeest, judging by the size of its stomach, it's quite big. So it is pregnant. So it's gonna start dropping calf or lambs very soon.
So I left the riverbed with the baboons and we bumped into a pack of wild dogs. And this is exactly what I was looking for this morning. This is my favorite animal in the world. And this is a pack. We're not sure how many yet. I can see 3 at the moment, but they are currently sitting still. I feel like they're going to start moving soon though. And this is exactly what I was hoping for this morning. They were on the move. All right, let's see if we can follow them. So this is exactly what I was hoping for because it's nice and cool. They might be moving consistently, even hunting. In this area, there are actually some impalas, some wildebeest that normally stay around here. This is incredible. Right, so I'll be interested to see how many are actually in this pack. It could be the Ngala pack, which is 21 wild dogs. It could be the Orphan Breakaway pack, which is 6 wild dogs. To me, this looks more like a few members of the Ngala pack. The Orphan pack seems to have a lot more white in them. So it'll be very, very interesting to see where the rest of the pack is. I think they're waiting to join up. They're actually going towards a little pan system at the moment. While I'm chatting, I must actually just correct myself quickly. I was a bit off on my lifespan of a baboon earlier, so 50. They're actually 20 to 30 years. I must have gotten a bit confused. Whoop, we are going. Right, let's see what we've got here. Whoa! Okay, so I've actually got one just off to my right. Beach bunny, wild dogs don't often bark or howl. Okay, there's one coming in front. They actually make a hooting sound like, oh, hello. A hooting sound Whoop, it got a front. Hooting sound like an owl. I've only heard them make a very severe growl once, and that was when there were lions coming towards their den site. Normally they would hoot like an owl, or they would have this very high-pitched squeaking, which is actually how they communicate with each other, especially when there's been a kill or when they're working with pups. We are at the pan system now on Ngala Loop Tusk. FM. They are just so energetic this morning. I am loving it. So there's still one in front of us. There are 2 or 3 off to the right, and I think what they're doing, they're quite spread out. You can see the ears moving. And what they're doing is they're trying to find the rest of the pack. So we're going to quickly send you over to Tristan for a special surprise. You'll be back with us later.
Indeed, it is a nice surprise because it's a leopard that we don't see very often at all. It's in Zutini that is facing away from us at the moment. It's a little bit of a long distance view, but it was moving in our direction before she sat down right now. And she's kind of watching around and has been fairly busy this morning. So I'm hoping that she's going to keep walking towards us because, well, it gets us into better range of our masts. But she's been a busy girl. She, yesterday afternoon, was full of nonsense, apparently, and was hunting all kinds of things around Simambili Dam. But particularly, she's apparently taken a liking to Egyptian geese. And she, yesterday, was able to kill, apparently, 3 different Egyptian geese chicks. And was up in the nests and all kinds of other things, and apparently putting on quite a show. So she's heading towards kind of Simambili Dam, which is where Egyptian geese are. So I'm wondering if maybe she's going to pull off another kind of hunting session with those birds that are there. So we'll just see how it goes. For now, she's just stopped and is grooming herself. Seeing it quite a lot with the leopards of late as they walk a little bit. And then they stop and lie down and try and just groom and get themselves into kind of better shape. And I think it's because they're picking up a lot of ants. When we're driving around on the roads at the moment, we're seeing a lot of pugnacious ants moving around. And these pugnacious ants are able to spray formic acid and as well as nip you with these little mouth parts that they've got that it's quite painful. And so I think what's happening is they're picking them up as they're walking, and then it's starting to irritate them, so they stop and they groom them all off, and then they get going again. We saw it yesterday with Shidulu, I saw it with Tingana the other day as well. So it seems like they're all kind of picking up something that's annoying them quite a bit. The other reason that they'll be cleaning themselves as much as what they are at the moment is because the tick load is going to be getting excessive. As we start going into summer and we've had all this rain and there's lots of grass that's starting to grow, so we start to see a much heavier load of ticks developing. And for a solitary cat like a leopard, they don't have the ability to groom or get themselves groomed by another member of their group or their family unit. And so they have to be quite meticulous about grooming themselves and making sure that they don't get high tick loads, particularly around the ear area and the back of the neck. It's not that great for them to have too many ticks on them. And so you'll find that they clean themselves a lot. When they're still cubs, obviously mom looks after that and makes sure that they're clean. But when they go off on their own, like she has, she needs to really pay attention. But if you look at that, the camouflage on her, if it wasn't for her ears moving, it'd be quite tricky to actually see her, even for us where we're sitting. When she puts her head down, she's almost invisible. Luckily, she was walking most of the morning, and that's kind of how she was found, rather than her sitting like this and making herself inconspicuous. But she's a beautiful, beautiful leopard. And like I say, as young leopard still starting out life, hasn't, a lot of you won't know who she is at all or where she kind of comes from, which I'll get into shortly, but she's only just starting to kind of start off life, so she hasn't had cubs of her own yet. She was with her mom until pretty much the beginning of the year. She started to split a lot more from sort of March. She started to be seen a lot on her own, and she's then kind of gone off and done her own thing and is trying to carve out her own territory. What's really interesting, though, is where she is right now has been kind of a battleground for 3 different leopards of late. So a few months ago, there was a kind of fight between her and her mother, who's Tiani, and Shidulu. or where we're at the moment. And it seems like Tswalu is kind of pushed further to the south and east, and I think that's probably due to the fact that she's mating with Mulawati, so her territory is just moving a little bit. And then Tiani seems to have pushed back to the west and south a little bit, and she's kind of dominating here. The other cat that she deals with quite a lot is Kara, so Tswalu's daughter, who also has been vying for this particular area, so it's been a bit tricky for her, but she seems to be just living kind of in this section around this big open clearing on Simambili and Simambili Dam as well. All right, well, she's on her way, and so we're going to try and keep up with her. She's not heading in the right direction now, but let's see how it goes. In the meantime, though, we're going to send you across all the way to Tswalu Kalahari with Kyle.
Welcome back. Yeah, it sounds like a very busy morning there with Tristan. Pugnacious ants and leopard. Wow. We have another little head that's just popping out of the burrow. A little bit of burrow maintenance going on as well. Starting their morning's activities. Ear Watcher, good morning and thanks for your questions. What do they eat? So they are carnivores, so they fall into the order of carnivora. But these little guys will eat a variety of different invertebrates. So that could be something from a scorpion to a spider, ants, termites, lizards. They'll even take little frogs as well. So a very wide variety of food items. And obviously the little teeth allow them to utilize and chomp down on those food items. So insects are favored, and that would be sought out throughout the day's foraging. And they actually unearth insects via their sense of smell. So after this behavior is complete, a little bit of burrow maintenance, sunbathing, a little bit of social grooming, they will then move off for the day. And they will actually dig throughout the day, dig into the ground and unearth insects of various kinds. And in the mix of things, they can unearth small lizards, legless skinks. But yeah, insects definitely a very large portion. I'd say maybe 80%, what I've noticed on Tswalu, 80% of their diet on a daily basis is insects, if not maybe higher, 90%. Excuse me. And the remarkability that they have to smell their food underground is just incredible. Very acute sense of smell, along with their very, very sharp eyes. You can see that individual's head spinning on a dime, looking left and right and left. Very, very sharp eyesight. So insects of various kinds, and then also small little vertebrates here and there. I think everybody's still snoozy. That's why they haven't come out yet. And as sunrise gets earlier, so their wake-up time will be earlier and earlier as well. They fall into cycle with sunrise. And especially now when it's a bit warmer, it was very warm this morning, so they decided, oh, here comes somebody else. Good morning. Oh, there we go. Beautiful. You can see absolute caution. Even though there is somebody standing in front of the burrow entrance, you still have to practice caution. You have to look after yourself out here. Nobody's going to do it for you. And you can see the two that have just sat down. You can see their orientation. Oh. Lauren, how many pups would they have at a time? Anywhere from 2 to 5 is the general give or take of a litter itself. And the female at that point would be pregnant for about 70 odd days. So 70 odd days she'll be pregnant, anywhere from 2 to 5. And then when she gives birth, obviously this area, this burrow system is a very, very efficient form of protection, especially if you are very small and very vulnerable to the external factors such as cold. So when they are born, they will remain in this burrow system for between 2 to 3 weeks before they even emerge. But 2 to 5 pups, I've generally seen 3 on Tswalu, and they can have multiple litters in a year, depending on the environment. So if the environment is doing good and is flourishing and is healthy, so do the meerkats. So they correlate their breeding cycles or breeding litters to what's happening within the environment. So bad seasons, maybe 1 litter. Good seasons, maybe 3 to 4 litters a year, which is very, very efficient. Looking up, your eastern clapperlock calling behind us. Those wings are beating so fast that the tips are actually clapping. Where's the rest of the group? All right, so we're going to see what's going to develop from here, and we'll make sure that we keep you guys informed. But we're going to send you over to Tristan and see what's happening with that leopard.
Well, while Kyle keeps his eyes peeled for meerkats, I'm busy watching Nzutini. We were hoping she was going to come down and drink. She's just going to the left now. We should see her pop out shortly on the left side of those bushes. She's just gone behind that mound, and I've just seen her go past the mound, and she should pop out there towards the marula. I was hoping, like I say, she'd come for water, but given how much rain has fallen, maybe not. Maybe she's just going to mark there first and then come this way. There we go. She's looking up in the tree. She's super cute. I like her. She's got character. Not that there's any leopard that I don't really like, to be honest. They're all pretty epic, but this one has got that youthful exuberance that a lot of, leopards that we know so well, like Klalamba and Hosanna, used to have when we used to see him. And she's got that same kind of feel to her and constantly doing something, can't sit still. It's a typical trait of young leopards. But what she's actually doing at the moment is, I don't think she's going to come drink, but because she's walking in these thickets and moving up and down. And it's a very clever tactic that she's using. What she's trying to do is she's trying to flush animals. So she's looking for things like duikers and scrub hares, and they love these little thickets on the edge of this open clearing, particularly because it's a cool day. They kind of all moving around, feeding in these thickets, and you'll find that she's just trying to disturb them and see them move, and then from there she can start to chase them around and try and hunt them. So what we've been seeing her do is just zigzagging basically through these little thickets, which is a small narrow strip between this big open clearing and the fire break. And it's almost like she's knows that there's food in here. She's just got to figure out a way to get to all the food. And so she's kind of utilizing these little thickets rather than walking in the open clearing where she can be seen. But I'm hoping she's going to come out to that marula to scent mark. Look at that. Isn't that beautiful? Never gets old being able to watch these cats, especially when they come out into big open clearings like this. Let's see if she comes to the pan from here. Maybe after scent marking there, she's going to come to where the pan is. She's rubbing all over that tree, certainly telling everybody this is my marula. No one else may come here. You can see tail is up. She's rubbing her face. No, she's going to go the opposite direction. I was kind of hoping she might turn and come and have a drink, but given how cool it is this morning and how many puddles there are, I'm not surprised that she didn't. Also, you can see her tail is up, and that's because of rattling testiculars that are shouting at her. So she's showing them that she's not a threat, and giving that big white flag. Oh no, she's now going to the toilet. I don't know what's wrong with these leopards. We had Tingana do it, we've had Shadulu do it, and Nzutini do it all in the space of the last 48 hours. Anyway, while she's going to that loo, we can give her a bit of privacy and see what she gets up to.
Welcome back, everyone, to Pinda and Beyond. So we're just gonna show you the landscape. See how beautiful it is. And we've got bigger mountains. And it's a little bit open around here. Nice open grassland. With those Libombo mountain range at the distance that we can see. So this is a very good habitat for cheetah. I would be so happy if you could.
Well, hopefully Pinda receives much needed rain. Everybody in the upright position. So just on that previous question, so as I mentioned, anywhere from 2 to 5, that's the general birth litter. And when those little ones are born, they are minute. They'll only be weighing at about 25 to about 30 grams of pup. And so they're very small and incapable for those first few weeks. And this is where the safety and security of these burrow systems are of great importance. Well, okay. If all the meerkats look in one direction, that means we should be looking there as well. So as we started off things, there was a jackal that ran off on the northwestern corner of this burrow. And now after the rains, with all this short shrubby vegetative growth, it makes things a little more dangerous for these individuals. If you don't have this green fern-like plant around, this is the eland's bean, then things are a little more open and nothing can be hiding behind these shrub-like plants. But now that they're in full leaf, it really becomes a massive hazard. So something could be sneaking through and around them, but something can also remain static and wait for a meerkat to walk in its direction. So it becomes another obstacle out here now through this period, the rainy period, which can be very tricky for these little meerkats. But being in a group, obviously very efficient communicating system, got different alarm calls for different threats. They're lightning quick, they're always on alert. That keeps things MGN, do they all sleep in the same burrow? Yes, they'll actually sleep quite close to one another. They'll actually huddle and receive body warmth or exchange body warmth at night while in these cooler burrow systems. Obviously the burrow system, massive safety at night time, because being out here at night, you're taking a massive risk. And then also being in that burrow system, the temperature is not fluctuating and affecting your internal core temperature. So at night time, they will huddle quite close to one another and actually snuggle. They're very social animals. They are by far one of the most social out of all of your mongoose species. Obviously, the banded mongoose is also very social, so on the same lines as banded mongoose, if I'm not mistaken. But lots of love at night time, sharing one little burrow itself and remaining quite close to each other. And that strengthens bonds. They also smell like each other. So it's a very efficient and widely used system. We're going to start moving. So it's just how warm it is this morning. I think they will get going a little bit earlier. And we take a look at these little animals moving out here when it's 30 plus degrees. If it's 30 odd degrees out here, that means that the ground surface, the soil surface, is 5 to about 8 degrees hotter. So you've got to think about those little feet moving on this very, very hot soil. So you'll see that even their feet are well adapted to these environments. They've got rubbery, very thick soles, obviously just to endure this very, very hot substratum when they're moving throughout the day, because they are only active. That means they're only operating in the daylight hours. Ooh, big dung beetle just crossed in front of me, like a helicopter. Makiri busy calling in the distance. Warren, are meerkats immune to venom? So, if you take a look, I've seen documentation about certain animals being bitten by very, very highly venomous snakes, such as Cape cobras. So the animal, if it does consume enough of an item that obviously possesses, or a species that possesses that venom, you can build an immunity. Your body will build antibodies. As in for these guys, they don't eat enough snakes, so I don't think they would be immune to something like a cobra. We have seen along the lines individuals being bitten by puff adders. And I mean, I can't even explain to you the amount of swelling one would receive or one would experience from a puff adder bite. It is a very, very painful thing. And from a bite, you'd have mass swelling. And we have had individuals that have been bitten on the face, and they've survived. So they don't eat puff adders, so we don't know how. Obviously, their metabolic rate must be so fast and so strong to drive out those antibodies, those venoms, sorry. But yeah, I wouldn't say they are totally immune. But animals that consume venomous animals, obviously they consume it and then they build up antibodies. And that's also a difference between venom and poison. Venom is injected, poison is ingested. So also how it's received and obviously how the body will react to it. We're going to just view these guys for a little while, and we're going to send you over to Tristan with a very, very playful leopard.
Indeed, she is scent marking vigorously, and there's a poor little bush that has been taking the brunt of her scent marking. She kind of flopped on it and has been pushing her head through it. There you go, you can see all these little sticks are being pulled and sat on and rolled on. How cute is that? You silly sausage. There's too many sticks for her to kind of keep her paws on, and so... As I was saying, youthful exuberance is right there. That is evidence of it for all of us to see. Super cute. I love it when leopards get these kind of little playful streaks, and you often get it in weather like this because it's cool enough that they don't have to actually worry about getting, bogged down by beating sunshine. And so you'll find that they become a lot more playful. And basically all she's doing is scent marking. If anything comes along, the crazies. Come on, up the tree. Oh, she is gorgeous. And she's on the most beautiful part that we could ever imagine. We're on the big clearing at Simambili. Look at that. Isn't that beautiful? I was hoping she's going to go up the tree. Come on, go up. There we go. Oh, that is magnificent. Wow. She's done exactly what I was hoping she would do. Now, hopefully she stays there, finds herself a little spot to get kind of comfortable, and then we'll take it easy, because that is as good as one could ask for. There we go. Now, I apologize if there's a bit of signal breakup when we moved, but unfortunately the cat moved a little bit. But you can see she's found herself this beautiful little tree that she's got herself on, and the reason why she's doing it is because at the end of the day, this little spot here is a really great vantage point for her to be able to look out over this open clearing and be able to then see if there's any prey animals that she can potentially hunt. Remember, we were saying earlier that she's going to want to be hunting anything that is kind of around. Nope, we're going to go crazy and go all the way to the top. Isn't this such a cool sighting? Oh, you are being a little rock star this morning. Isn't this cool? What are you up to, girl? She's going to drop down now. And off she goes. I suspect, though, that we're going to see her climbing multiple different trees as she goes. And she seems like she's gotten into that mood. She hasn't found anything to eat, and so now it's time to play. And this open clearing is the perfect place to play because there's so many fallen over trees. Look. You see how she's gone down? She's going to pounce on something. Watch. She's chasing him. Red-crested Quran. You are being super cute, girl. There's no chance that the Quran saw her coming from a long way away. But like I say, that's typical of young cats. They'll chase anything, and often that exuberance leads to success. Because of how often they chase, they'll often kind of grab something just out of chance. Anyway, we're going to follow her. She's kind of moving off away from us. In the meantime, let's send you across to Dunsani, who's found something that is just starting out in life.
Welcome back. We just found the female buffalo calf. She just finished gave birth now, but she's got her little baby. Let me go slightly forward. Sam, you can just see the little baby there next to her. Wow, that's so cute. That's really amazing. So the reason why she's lagging behind the head, it's because she found a nice clump of bushes where she wanted to give birth. And now she's gonna walk around, and it looks like that calf is just learning how to walk. That's really amazing to see. Wow, it's trying to keep up with mom. And she's quite vulnerable because she's on her own. She can hear us. That is why she's moving away a little bit from us, trying to trail the rest of the herd. So probably where she's going, you can just see she's got her head down, so which means she's busy trying to follow the scent of the rest of the herd. So as soon as it seems like the direction where she's going now, we might get to see her again. But it was really nice to see. I think we are going to take you and see the meerkats, but we are going to try to stick with this buffalo so long.
Everybody is still at the burrow, doing their duties. And if you look in the background, you can see how disturbing, how those very fluffy leaves are waving and moving in the background. That's very, very tricky for a small animal like this if you are trying to look around every corner for a threat. So that could be very deceiving while foraging throughout the day here. So definitely added obstacle now through the summer period. Woodstock. How far can a meerkat see? I'd say further than myself. Sure, I don't know if there's an exact distance, but their eyesight is extremely acute. So when they are busy with this almost security duty, I have seen them, the whole group instantaneously put their heads up and then alarm call. And it takes myself and a tracker maybe a good minute or two to try and pinpoint what they are looking at. And obviously from their sheer activity, you know that it's an imminent threat. And after a minute or two, then only are we able to pick up this bird soaring very, very high. And that just shows you how acute the eyesight is. So they are recognizing a bird which is a threat, function or shape of its wing. If they tried to fly over, they wouldn't react. The snake eagle was soaring above them, that is then imminent. Then they would give an alarm call, they would go into defense, they would keep tabs on it, they would look for available cover. So their eyesight is very, very acute. I wouldn't say a certain distance, but just very well adapted to pick up on various things. So yeah, as foraging bout is starting, and what they will do from here is that they will move off for the entire day, and only returning to this burrow system, and maybe this one this evening. And I mean, they could use a multiple burrow system, all 5 going off. And I mean, look how tiny they are within the environment. You can see the fish tails, little markers. Here I am. Wow. Unbelievable how small they are. Now you can just see the sheer scale of what they're having to deal with. And obviously being in such a big environment and not only having to worry about aerial predators, which is one of their major threats, but everything else in between here now, which is very scary. Well, we're going to leave you guys for a few minutes and we're going to send you over to Tswalu to take a look at some small little flowers.
Some small and incredible flowers like Kyle's meerkat. These are wild jasmine, well, colloquially known as wild jasmine, but in fact they're Jasminum fluminense. So there's quite a few types of jasmine that grow in the wild. And that's why I've made the distinction that it's Jasminum fluminense. And the reason I stopped is that you kind of see them around the reserve. They're sprawlers and climbers, but they're just in bulk in this little kind of meadow. They're just in a tiny little dip, and it smells amazing. It smells exactly like the jasmine you'd be familiar with wherever in the world you are from. It is lovely. It almost feels like a fairy tale when we drove past it that I could not drive through without showing you how gorgeous this is. So just from their growth pattern, you can see that they are sprawling as well as climbing. And they look like little stars all over the place. And in the back and the sides, they're everywhere. They've got trifoliate leaves, which is why I was able to identify them to species, even though there's a number of Jasminum genus plants in South Africa, in Southern Africa. They smell unbelievable. When we drove through here, you could smell it immediately. And it's a wonderful little spot in the reserve because you can smell it, and the woodland kingfishers are giving us the wonderful soundtrack to this fairy-like trek through the dip. Anyway, we're going to move out of the dip now and continue on our way. And we'll send you over to Tristan and that lovely leopard. She's up and mobile.
That iconic sound of those woodland kingfishers. And you can see Nzutini is giving us the best views this morning. It's been so nice to actually spend a lot of time with her, because often we just get her and it's brief glimpses because of signal and where she likes to hang around, which is these kind of dense areas that run off of this clearing. And today she has just been an absolute treat, and she's got the full crazies. She's running around like an absolute hooligan. Anything that has got any sort of raised area, she's going up onto and kind of scent marking and running up and down. I think she's going to go up this tree. Let's see now. Let's watch. She keeps looking up there. Now, earlier I was telling you about that fight that she had with Shidulu and Tiani, and it was in this tree. Both of them were at the bottom of the tree, and she was up the top. So let's see if she goes up into this particular one again. It looks like she might. She keeps looking up there as though she wants to, and maybe she just wants to get a bit of elevation to be able to then see out over this area and be able to see if there is any potential prey items that she can come down and look for, even though she's got the crazies, which is only because it's really so open and she was crossing it, and so she didn't mind if she was seen because she wasn't going to be able to hide. But now she's getting closer to these thickets again. She needs to be a little bit more calculated and a lot more calm in about the way that she goes about it. You can see she blends in so well. It's amazing. Come on, girl, you're going to go up first. Nope. You're going to reverse and come back down. Oh, she's beautiful. It's difficult to say because it seems to be expanding all the time and changing a little bit because of the density of females in this section. But I would say that she's probably patrolling at the moment only about maybe 2,000 hectares, 1,000 hectares, somewhere there. It's not very big. She's keeping herself pretty localized around Simambili Dam. And that's pretty typical. I mean, we saw it with Kalamba when she left Tandi in the beginning. She also used to just hang around certain areas for long periods of time. And it took her a good kind of year of being away from mom to really establish a decent-sized territory that she has now. So she's still trying to kind of mark it out. And it seems this open clearing and the dam and then the fire break is all kind of hers at the moment. So I would say it's about 2,000 hectares would be my guess, which is very, very small. But then again, most adult female leopards within the Sabi Sands don't get huge territories. Most of them will only run off a territory of 3,500, 4,000, as much as 5,000 hectares, which is very, very small when you consider it. Unfortunately, where she's going now for us is going to be a bit of a nightmare because it drops down into a very, very thick drainage line that's almost kind of navigable. So I don't know if we're going to get any luck with being able to follow her through here, unfortunately. But we still had a really nice sighting of her, which is good. Where's she gone now? Lost her. Oh, there she is. She's chasing a steenbok. There goes the steenbok. You can see it just went barreling across the road. She had no price on it. The steenbok has stopped at the top there. I didn't see her coming behind it. I just saw the steenbok running. I'm trying to see where she is. I'll just pick it up on the open clearing right at the top there. So there's the steenbok there. And she went running off somewhere. Maybe she's chasing the other member of the family. Remember, with steenbok, often you'll have a pair together, and so while one runs, the other one might be getting chased by the leopard. Too quick, though, these guys. Very, very seldom do you see a leopard get anywhere near them. They're able to move too fast. All right, let me try to see if I can get a visual of her. Just trying to see where she went. she's kind of gone back behind us a little bit. Where she is in a very tricky little area. I don't think we're going to be able to get really towards her too much. We'll try.
Tristan with his leopard luck. I am not surprised at all. I'm sure that he will get her again. I was just about to say to you, I've been seeing so many mushrooms around. But the same ones we've discussed in the past. Here are a few more. All this moisture has just been great for the mushrooms. And this evening I want to try something. So mushrooms are constantly releasing spores that are tiny, so tiny. And you may be able to see them in a spore print, but again, alas, I have not brought paper with me. But in the evenings, if you shine a light underneath the cap of the mushroom, then the spores reflect the light, so you can actually see them being released. So I think we're going to try that out tonight with a torch, see if it works, see if we get lucky. That'd be an awesome thing to see. So often we forget the little kind of miracles that go on, little things that are constantly happening that we don't pay attention to. Like at the moment, there's a stream of spores being released from these mushrooms, and it would look like a steam or mist swirling through the air, but we can't see. Awesome. Tonight, I think we shall Now, we are on the northern boundary, and we're going to go down Aubrey's once we get there. Make sure I don't smash these mushrooms. Oh, there we go. Yeah, so we're going to go onto Aubrey's Road, and there's lots of little cool creatures there, so we're going to go find them all for you.
Everyone, let's just enjoy the scene, and let's listen to the scene and look around.
I'm gonna cross evidence.
So we have been trying to find the wild dogs again. They moved back north over the Timbavati River, so there's actually 3 vehicles, including myself at the moment, and we're driving different roads looking for the wild dogs. And I actually decided to stop at this little pan system and just see, maybe they might come here for a drink of water. But there's also just some beautiful sounds happening at the moment, and you can see some foam nest frog nests on that branch. So I thought I'd sit here and enjoy it a little bit. Maybe we might hear the wild dogs in the distance. So those foam nest frogs, they make these nests to keep the little eggs and tadpoles safe. And you can see they're still incredibly white. So these 2 nests are quite fresh. As they get older, they're actually yellow and they harden. But these are looking nice and white. And this is probably, I would say, a day or 2 old, not much older than that. So there'll be little frog eggs in there, and as soon as they hatch to tadpoles, they actually can drop out of that nest into the water, and it just keeps them safe from birds, from terrapins and other insects and things like that that would eat them. But what's really nice about this particular area, it's really good for wild dogs this time of the morning, but also for leopards, which I've been looking for this morning. There's a lot of tall trees, there's thickets along the sides of the river, and it's also just absolutely beautiful. Listen to all the birds around us. There's a woodland kingfisher calling at the moment. So I've always loved these foresty sections where there's a lot of tall trees around, because especially this time of the day there's lots of birds calling. MGN, absolutely. The foam is definitely fun to see. And it's always just that beautiful pop of white, because everything is so green at the moment. So that white really catches your eye. And it's actually very cute to see the frogs as well, because they're a light grey colour. They're very pretty. They blend in very well. So there's actually a frog there. It's quite light grey in colour. So there's foam nests that hang over this little pan system in the tree as well. That nest that's up in the tree is older. Can you see that it's more yellow than white? So that one would have hardened quite well. That frog worked very hard to get up there. There's another tawny flanked preneur calling. So that white is actually quite wonderful, because that's also often what we see of the wild dogs, that very fluffy white tail. And even with leopards, they have that beautiful white underneath their tail. So that's normally what we look for. Every time we see white, we get very excited. It's also why those white lions stand out so well. But this morning, I'm really, really hoping that we get to find those wild dogs again. That beautiful white. My favorite female is actually from the Orpin breakaway pack, and she's got a lot of white on her. I know I've mentioned her before. And it actually looks like around her tail, she's got the pattern of a pelvis in white. All around her tail, it literally looks like she's got her skeleton on her coat. It's unbelievable. She's actually the alpha female of that Orpin breakaway pack. But I don't think the wild dogs that we saw this morning was the Orpin breakaway pack. They just didn't have enough white on them. They were more gold and black. So I'm thinking it was the Ngala pack, which is that pack of 21. And so we maybe only had 3 or 4 of that pack. So I'm hoping that as I carry on along this road back down into the river, maybe we might hear them or manage to find them again.
Good luck, Tess. I hope that she does find those wild dogs. Here we're on Albury's Road, and we're just having a look at the lovely scenery. And listening to the beautiful sounds. Really very, very pretty. Well, we haven't been able to pick up on many tracks as we've gone. Many of hyena. But you know, hyenas are very, very difficult to track. But we have seen their tracks. I haven't seen any tracks for elephants, which is a bit disappointing. But we're going to keep on zigzagging our way through Juma, trying to pick up on any clues, and of course stopping for all these little cute things that we're managing to find. It's a really peaceful morning, very nice and cool as well. And I'm happy to just enjoy it, even if we don't get to see any of the really big game. Doesn't matter.
I'm driving back along this thicket section on the edge of the river, and we're actually very close to where we last saw them now, where they crossed back north. But typically of wild dogs, they like to zigzag, so we're really hoping that we might bump into them here again. They move so fast, and I think because it might be that big pack that they were split up and trying to find each other, which is why they moved so fast in the opposite direction. Well, we've been very lucky this morning. It's nice and cool. It's still overcast. It's actually stopped drizzling now. So, luckily for us, the predators are a bit more active. Check there. Hopefully the wild dogs might be looking for a clearing to hunt, and we might get some more action.
It can be a frustrating search at times. We're also looking for dogs, but they've gone further south, I'm afraid, out of our traverse area, so we're not going to be able to pick them up this morning. Anyway, we're watching a hippo at Simamili Dam, and we also came to check up on the Egyptian geese that have been terrorized the last few days by Insutini. Unfortunately, she dropped into a drainage line where we just could not follow her, so we had to leave her there. But those 4 chicks there, apparently there were 7 to start. And she has picked off 3 of them already, yesterday afternoon being the time that she did it. It's unfortunate for these Egyptian geese chicks. They do get taken by a number of different things. They've got a bit of a conundrum because not only do they have to worry about land-based predators and birds of prey, but when they get into water, even at that size, they still eaten by catfish a lot of the time. I mean, there's no croc that I know of in this particular dam at the moment. There has been in the past, but it dried up, and since then no croc has arrived here. But the catfish do eat them. I've seen it at this dam particularly, where these little chicks are kind of gulped down by catfish. So it's a tough life an Egyptian goose, but luckily they have so many chicks and they somehow manage to do it that the numbers are on the massive increase rather than decrease. I'm not sure the hippo was a huge fan of them coming in to where he was. He kind of ducked under as the family approached. Now, earlier I was saying Inzatini was climbing into trees and going after nests and things like that. So if you look from where those Egyptian geese are to the other side of the dam, there's a dead tree that's sticking up with nests in it. So over there, that's the tree that she was climbing in and the nest that she was trying to raid. And the reason why is not because of the buffalo weavers, so those are red-billed buffalo weaver nests that are in that tree, but the Egyptian geese will often use buffalo weaver nests as their own nests. So they repurpose it, particularly the top section of it. They just kind of move everything around, line it, and then they sit on the top of it. And so what I think has happened is in the time that these chicks have hatched and started to grow, Inzatini must have worked out that that's where they are, is on top there initially. And so yesterday apparently she was climbing all over the top of that tree, kind of on the nests and looking for things and, well, just generally being a bit clownish in her behavior. But these poor Egyptian geese, I don't think they're going to catch a break because she's not going to leave them alone. Once she's figured out she can get one, she's most definitely going to come for the rest. We saw Asana doing the same thing. It's a pretty typical young leopard strategy because things like steenbok and duik are much harder to hunt than hapless little chicks of Egyptian geese. I'm amazed, though, to see how low Simamili Dam is, considering we've had really good rain so far this summer. I would have expected the dam to have kind of held water, but it's definitely dried a little bit and not nearly as full as it was the last time I was here. Funnily enough, it's actually quite a shallow dam, so it does drop pretty quickly. There's one section where the hippo is that's fairly deep, and that lasts for quite a while, but most of this kind of fringing is actually very shallow, and it drops off pretty quickly if we don't get big rains. But, yeah, our hippo friend and our Egyptian geese are together. Sorrel, no, the hippos shouldn't eat the ducks. I mean, I've never seen it. I suppose anything's possible out here. I mean, hippos sometimes lash out at things just out of, well, the aggression more than anything else. But theoretically, no, they shouldn't eat the ducks. You can see the parents are happy to glide right past that hippo's face, and so are the chicks. The reason why is that hippos typically are not meat eaters. I say typically because they have been recorded to eat meat, particularly in very, very dry periods. But for the most part, no, they don't eat meat, and you know, so a little Egyptian goose chick is not on the menu. They don't have to worry too much about hippos. I was just thinking to myself now, actually, talking about hippos, is those little Egyptian geese chicks were kind of sliding along there, and I was waiting for that hippo just to pop its head up like that, and for one of those little chicks to go flying. Wouldn't have been ideal if he had popped his head up and a chick had been on top of his head. This would have caused a lot of panic, I would imagine. Although sometimes you see them, they sit on, you can see they've just gotten up onto the log now, they're tired of having a swim. But sometimes they'll even sit on a hippo's back. I've seen multiple different bird species actually using hippos as little rafts, particularly herons, funnily enough. There's a dam that is in the Kruger National Park called Sunset Dam, and it's got a high density of crocodiles and hippos, and the herons and storks sit on the back of the hippo as it goes, and I think that with the herons it's actually a strategic move because they even hunt from the back of those hippos, and when the hippos defecate you'll often find a lot of fish congregating behind a hippo's tail, and so maybe that's why they're doing it, is just because it's kind of, these hippos are not only a raft that they can get into water points that are not accessible normally, that are a bit deep, but two, they're attracting a huge amount of food, and therefore the perfect place for a hippo to, well, and a bird to sit, and to utilize. It's fascinating how these things all develop and how animals kind of learn and utilize behavior. Pretty though. Always nice to sit at a dam and just to see what goes on around it. It's, often we kind of just drive past, don't see anything there. But actually, when you spend time at water points, you can often find lots of little things that you didn't realize were there, from like I say, birds to, sometimes you'll find little monitor lizards or frogs or all kinds of other little things. All right, we're going to carry on though. We're going to leave our Egyptian geese little family to themselves. We'll check up on them periodically through the next couple of weeks. Hopefully we'll be able to find something else on our morning bumble.
That is an excellent idea. I think I'm going to make my way down to a local watering hole as well and see what little creatures we can find. It's been quite... Sorry, something distracted me. It's been quite quiet this morning. I've only really seen the impalas and albatus. What are you? Dried leaves. But our nearest watering hole is actually quite far from us. It's going to take us a while to get there, but we can go visit a pan. In the meantime, we can go to Gadigo Pan, where I can almost promise you there'll be a Cape turtle dove. Everything's looking really, really lush. Makes me very happy. Very, very happy, and still no tracks. Elephants. I'm going to focus on elephants in my brain. Elephants, elephants, elephants. That's what I want to see. And that's what I want to share with you guys. All right, I'm going to get on going to that water hole. I'm going to send you over to Tess, see what she's getting up to.
So I came over into this clearing here at andBeyond in Ngala looking for those wild dogs. We found some very relaxed impalas and zebras, so I don't think the wild dogs are around here. But it's absolutely beautiful to see the zebras in this light. This one that's standing in the road and the ones to the right, they're all part of the same dazzle. And it looks like one stallion and the rest seem to be mares. And some of them are quite heavily pregnant as well. This female that we're looking at is quite heavily pregnant. So we should actually start seeing foals very soon. We've got quite a lot of impala lambs at the moment. So we're just waiting for the zebras to start giving birth. We've seen quite a few baby wildebeest, which has been nice as well. You can actually hear the impalas chasing each other. Everybody's very active this morning in this nice cool weather. So the zebras are actually, I think, enjoying this nice cool weather because it means they're not hiding from the sun. But they're actually quite advantaged as well because of their stripes. So for them, you know, even on a nice cool day like today, they're actually still keeping cool using their stripes as a bit of a built-in air conditioner. Today, though, it would be particularly important to have these stripes for flies. So there will be quite a lot of insects out today because of the rain that we had yesterday and this morning. It kind of gives the insects a bit of a kickstart. So that's why you can see that zebra is still flicking its tail from side to side, trying to keep the flies off. Oh my word, the one that's coming into the road is covered in oxpeckers. It's got about 3, 4 on it, 5. All bouncing around on its back. And that zebra is actually particularly clean as well, which is quite unusual. It's very white. So those oxpeckers would be scanning through the zebra looking for ticks they actually do what's called scissoring, where they use their beak to scissor through the fur and look for any ticks that might be on the skin. They look like they're having a dust bath now. Look at that. In the nice sandy patch of the road. It's beautiful. So we actually don't get to see yellow-billed oxpeckers very often. And these are all yellow-billed oxpeckers. 2 of them are actually young. They don't have the same coloring as the other 2. And yellow-billed oxpeckers are actually highly endangered. They only reintroduced themselves to this area in the last few years, and they've been moving further and further south, which is amazing. It's really important for us to see that their distribution is expanding again. They used to be everywhere in this area, and then they actually started dying out because of people starting to dip their cattle and livestock. These will feed differently to the red-billed oxpeckers. The red-billed oxpecker will go for the tick alone. The yellow-billed oxpecker, when it goes for the tick, often takes a piece of the skin with it, and the skin carries the dip, and so they started dying out from poisoning. And their distribution completely zeroed out from here. There was nothing left. But it's so nice to see them relaxing now in the road, having a dust bath, trying to get the pests off of themselves by having that dust on them. Polly, it is very common to see zebras and impalas grazing together. Often you'll see wildebeest with them as well. And it's all part of what we call the grazing succession. So normally what happens is, yes, it's more eyes and ears, so they can see and hear and smell predators coming faster. It's safety in numbers. But because they all eat grass, they actually eat different parts of the grass. Grass can be quite tall. There's a herb layer at the bottom, and it moves up and up the grass shaft until it gets to the inflorescence or the flowering part at the top. And so the zebras, because they're larger, they have a bit of a different digestive system to the impalas. They need to eat quite a lot of grass, but it can't be too high in quality. It can't be too nutritious. So they actually rely on eating a little bit more grass that is a little bit less nutritious. So they eat the top layers compared to the impalas. The impalas will eat the bottom layer, which is the herb layer. It carries more nutrients. And it's just the layer above the soil, and then the zebras eat the layer above that. So the zebras actually make a pathway for the impalas to feed, because the impalas are smaller. They need high quality in low quantity. So less of better food, where the zebras need more of kind of a little bit worse quality food. So it's very common to see them all together, and especially in an area like this, there is actually a clearing behind all of these guarri thickets. So at the moment, they're going for those nice, very green patches of grass and herbs at the bottom of the guarris, and then they've got the clearing to keep themselves safe as the day moves on to night. So I'm going to stay here with these zebras. Hopefully I get another nice view of those little yellow-billed oxpeckers. They are one of my favorite birds. I'm actually going to send you over to Tswalu, who has a bird of her own up in a tree.
It's a green pigeon. That's very cool. I haven't seen them in a while. So wonderful to see the array of birds in the summer. It's just magical. Green pigeons, I think, are my favorite pigeons. I think it enjoyed that comment. They'd be very happy with the little fruit that are around at the moment, the little berries. Hoping it heard friends of its. No, wait, let me see if I can roll forward and get a view. They've got they have lovely yellow feathers on their legs, like little leg warmers. This one's hiding it from us today. Jen, you say a green pigeon, how cool? Certainly, it is very, very cool. That's why I say they're my favorite pigeons, because they're green. They also have super pretty red bit on their beak, so they're a very nice, colorful pigeon. And when they fluffed up the feathers on their legs, those leg warmers, those yellow feathers, they look so cool. I was about to say for a pigeon, but we should not discriminate. They're usually found in small flocks. That's why I was hoping that there'd be others around. But this one is on its ace. Are you eyeing out some berries? There's white berry bushes all around. So curious to watch them. A good preen for the morning. It's so important to keep those feathers in good condition because their whole lifestyle depends on those feathers.
I mean, like I'm trying. Like I said, I don't want it to come across the wrong way because it's not
green. They are green pigeons, so it's not as if it's a common pigeon whose feathers then turn green. No. So their feathers are green as a result of pigment and structural coloration. Green pigment is actually not very, very common, just like blue, but it's more common than blue is. So creatures will usually use a combination of yellow pigment and then tiny microstructures on their wings to create different colors. I love seeing colorful birds. Oh, down you scoot. That green really makes it blend in very well to the bush because it's actually quite a, it's not a very bright green. It's a slightly dulled green. Oh, off it goes. And it really blends in very well with the bush. Well, that was nice. Wasn't that nice? I wonder what other birds we can find today. I really want to get a classes cuckoo on camera because we've been hearing them so often. I had a wonderful sighting of a classes cuckoo outside my room, and that was it. And I enjoy their call very much. I am now suddenly my eyes are zoned in to birds. I was focusing on elephants, everyone. All right, while I get my focus on, I'm going to go visit Gallagher Pan, which was the close pan near us, and I'm going to send you over to Tristan for a bit of an update.
I'm glad Trishala got to see her green pigeons. They're a cool bird. I like green pigeons. They always remind me of being a kid with my grandparents because we used to have green pigeons in the garden. Now, we just come out onto Triple M, but there must be something up ahead. I haven't heard anything on the radio, but I see two vehicles parked in front of us. So I wonder if maybe somebody's just found something. I'm not sure, but we'll go and investigate. It's on the boundary between us and Arathusa, so maybe it's one of the cats, or maybe it's the dogs, or I don't know. The dogs were on Arathusa, but they sounded like they were going towards Hofmann's. So I don't know if it's them. We also have a passenger, which I'll show you shortly once we get to these cars that are up ahead. It's not far from here where the cars are. But like I say, I'm not sure what it could be. I mean, it could also be something like Ellie's or, buffalo or something like that. But just I haven't heard anything on the radio, so I'm not really sure why these cars are here. Something lying in the road. What's in the road there? Is it the dogs? Looks dog-like. Let's see from far. Let's see if my eyesight is that good. That certainly looks like wild dogs to me. That's because it is wild dogs. Awesome. We're having a stellar morning. Everything is kind of happening the way we need it to happen, which is awesome. So we'll go and join the doggies and see what they get up to. Looks like they're crossing into Juma at the moment, so always nice when that happens. I was saying we have a passenger on the vehicle, which I'm afraid is not going to attract as much attention as a dog. Unless you Taylor, because we have a little jumping spider that's on my steering wheel at the moment, which Taylor absolutely loves. But for now, let's try to get to the dogs before they disappear. Because as we know with dogs, this is very easy for them to run into a place and for them to be lost pretty quickly. But they've got such a signature kind of look about them from far, with those big ears and long legs. It's really, you can't mistake them for anything else. They can really only be one thing when you see them from that kind of distance. So let's just stop right here, because this is the road that goes into Juma, and it looks like they're trotting kind of generally in this direction. There we go. They're going straight into Juma, which is good. I'm going to catch them over here, because where they're going is going to be very difficult to follow them quickly. So let's go this side and get them on the open clearing that's just in front here. They like hunting in this section and like to kind of move around and chase things all over. I also need to use the radio, because keeping up with dogs is generally a multiple vehicle multiple vehicles kind of sighting, because the more cars you have together, the easier it is to follow them. Now they should make an appearance right here. Marcel, shout if you see them. This is the problem with doggies, is they can disappear on you. Oh, there they are. So they just look like they're fairly full already, like they've got a bit of blood on their faces. So I think they've already eaten. They've got kind of quite round tummies. If you look there, you can see that adult's got a nice full stomach and blood on the fur. Kenzie, I've never heard of it, so I don't think so. I don't think anyone's ever really tried, but I've never heard of wild dogs breeding with domestic dogs. But let me just use the radio quickly. Sorry, I apologize for this. But now everybody wants to talk a lot. Stations, I've got the dogs. They've just crossed Triple M onto Impala Plains. One station on lock. The problem where they're going is going to be to keep up with them. You guys have eaten a lot already this morning. Look how full you are. You're like barrels, all of you. So whatever they ate was rather large. It seems like most of the pack is full. Now, I'm just trying to count how many members we've got. We've got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 that I can see that side. And behind us is all the puppies coming through. So there should be 7 adults. I don't know the puppy count. It's been a while since I've seen them, but you can see all the little pups coming behind us. Look, they're chasing something. They're going after a steenbok. Let's see where they go from here. I'm going to just turn off now, but you can see they just running through, and everybody's going in different directions. This is the thing about dogs, is when they go, it's just absolute chaos. So we'll just try and reverse quickly. But I think they must have missed. Steenbok looked as though it had gotten away. It's amazing how it just goes from stationary. You can see some on my right-hand side. The problem is where we're going now. It's going to be so difficult if they're hunting to follow them. But it's just so cool to have dogs everywhere. I absolutely love dogs. They cause havoc wherever they go. It's such a fun thing to follow them and watch them go about their business, especially when everybody is in high spirits and the weather is good for running. So, Jay, you're asking about wild dogs and selecting leaders. Like most animals, there's a fair bit of competition that takes place. So you'll find that males will compete with one another. So size will be part of it. Even fighting to a degree. Same with females. So they'll kind of compete based off that. It's not a very well understood thing because often you get huge changes in pack dynamics. Everyone always thinks wild dogs are, alpha pair and that's it for life, but it's not the case. They quite commonly change over. So, but they think it's due to kind of fighting and size more than anything else. I just see one is chewing on our left-hand side, but it's not a kill. I think it might have been a millipede. A lot of you won't know this, but dogs often eat millipedes. Well, not eat them, but they crunch them and then roll in them. And it's probably for a kind of to keep insects away from them. So when they crunch those millipedes, the millipedes have traces of cyanide in them as well as other chemicals, and those chemicals are great at deterring flies from landing on them. So often you'll find these guys in the summer months crunching on them and then rolling in them after they've done so. Isn't it cool, though? And you can see how easily it is to miss dogs. I mean, if we had come 5 minutes later, we wouldn't have seen any of them because they're nowhere near a road now. They're right in the middle of a kind of block area. Crazy, though. Let's just keep up with them. Otherwise, we end up losing them, and then it becomes a lot harder to find them again. Now, we are heading kind of roughly towards quarantine. Not quite, but that's general direction. If they shoot a little bit more to the east. And quarantine, as we know, has got wildebeest calves on it. It's got impala lambs. So there's a lot of different stuff that could potentially be on the menu if they head in that direction. Just trying to see where they all are. They're kind of quite spread at this stage, and they're doing the typical sort of wild dog hunt, which is to try and spread out and flush animals, and then from there chase as much as they can. So they fan, and then they push forward, and eventually they see something and off they go, like what we saw just now. The nice thing with them is you can also follow them by smell. You don't actually have to see them all the time. Just one here. Most of them are in front of us through this little thicket. What are you digging up? I don't know what this dog has found there that it's digging up. Interesting. Must have been something that piqued its interest. All right, let's keep up with it. Got to now try and figure out how I'm going to get through here. This next little phase is really not that pleasant at all. Alright, I'm going to try and kind of keep up with these guys. Hopefully we'll continue to stay on the hunt and we'll eventually get them with some sort of meal.
So I am sitting watching some Burchell's starlings that are currently around a little pan system looking for insects in the grass, and we're just listening to all of the different bird sounds around us, especially these Burchell's starlings. It's really lovely to be sitting at this little pan system and just listening to the birds. There are a lot of birds active this morning. You can hear a red-crested corehorn, the Sabota lark. That's the Burchell starling. Crested francolin. There's even a black-headed oriole just now. A mourning dove. Absolutely lovely to hear all of these bird calls at this pan system.
I have just stopped here because yet again I've seen lots of flowers and I couldn't drive past without showing them to you. It's the African wattle with its gorgeous yellow flowers. Lots and lots of little insects will be found in these flowers. Jewel beetles, they like these flowers quite a lot. I've seen lots and lots of CMR beetles as well. Spotted chafers, all found in these trees. They're usually easy to spot because they look quite obvious insects against the yellow of the flowers, and that's usually where they'll hang out, is amongst the flowers. But surprisingly, jewel beetles are quite difficult to see. Now, if you know what a jewel beetle looks like, they're very, very shiny. Well, many of them are very, very shiny, not all of them. And you might think that it's very conspicuous to be so shiny and that birds would pick you up straight away and gobble you up. But in fact, they reflect light so well that the birds can hardly recognize them when they fly by and they see the jewel beetles. And there was an interesting experiment done with that. Bits of inanimate objects were painted with just the color, the green color, and without the shine. And the birds would pick them up. And when they were painted in different colors, the birds would snatch them up. But when they were painted in the shiny, reflective color, the birds would not notice them as easily. So even though they have that shiny color, jewel beetles are not easy to spot. That's why you've got to go really up close to this tree to find them. Otherwise, you also won't be able to spot them very well. Jen, you say it resembles a lilac tree? Here we have jacarandas, which give that awesome, awesome color. Well, not here at the reserve because they're not a native plant, but in the cities in Johannesburg, it's often called the jacaranda city because there's jacarandas all around and it has that lovely lilac color. But actual lilacs, actual lilac plants, we don't get them in the reserve, but you can buy them and put them in your garden. And they certainly do resemble them, especially with that spiked fluorescence. Alright, well, we're going to head on, and Tristan is with his wild dogs, so let's go over and see what's happening.
Well, hopefully you'll find something else, Trishala. I'm sure there's something out there for you. As you can see, we've caught up with the dogs. Luckily, a lot of the adults are lying down. There are some that I think chased something, because we just had one dog flying past us just now, and a couple of the puppies were around, but now it seems as though everybody's just getting kind of settled for the morning, which is not the worst thing. Here come the little ones, going to cause trouble behind us. You guys having fun behind? One of the adults is playing with them. Let me reverse a little bit for Marcel here, because it's not easy in this little thicket, but this little clearing I'm sure will be part of the play area. So you can see puppies are kind of running, and then adult is chasing, and that will be all teaching these little guys part and parcel of how to go about hunts. So often you'll find when the adults rush at them and then run off, it's to try and trigger them to chase them. So as much as they also hunting and kind of running through these areas and thickets, chasing things, they're also trying to teach the puppies how to go about it. They are being trailed by a hyena as well, so I mean maybe we'll see an explosion of tempers there too. I always enjoy when hyenas get involved with dogs, because it just becomes absolute pandemonium, and the noise of it all is quite something. Yes, it's not the easiest area, unfortunately, to watch them because of how thick it is at the moment. So you can just see these little white tails kind of bouncing around. I'm hoping, unfortunately, this dog is in the way for us to be able to get forward and into the clearing where we'd be able to see better. I think let's try and just get round them, because it might be better from the other side where it's a little bit more open. So I'm going to try and see if I can figure a way through here. So dense in here, it's really not easy to see a way through, but I'm sure we can find one somewhere in this general vicinity. Like I said, there was still one dog that ran this way, so I don't know if they're still busy chasing something, or if that dog came back. That little area that we were in was so thick, it's difficult to kind of keep up, but it's definitely the Pungwe pack, for those of you that wanted to know which pack it is. They've been around quite a bit of late. There we go, they're all out in the clearing, so much better to see them out here and to watch them play than to be stuck in this thicket. Let's try and get rid of all the branches that are around. Very, very nice. Hello, guys. So there's a couple in the road. There's some that are scattered around all through this clearing, and then all the kind of puppies are behind us at the moment. But everyone's in a state of kind of stopping and listening. You can hear a Franklin alarm calling, so I don't know if they chase something that way, and they're also listening to that. Jen, no, not really. Obviously, a hyena's bigger one-on-one, and then they would be, and they'd back down, but very seldom you're going to find one wild dog by itself. So generally, as a pack, they know that collectively they can often out-compete wild dogs, and so they will then kind of wild dogs will outcompete a hyena as a pack collective, and they'll then chase hyenas all over the place. And often the first thing you see when finding dogs is a hyena kind of bolting, and dogs behind them. Look at this dog. I think it wants to play with maybe one of the others that's behind. Oh no, it's a hyena that's going to chase a hyena. Let me turn. I'll try to turn for you. They're chasing this hyena. I think hyena got the message, proving the point exactly. So when they're in a collective like this, the hyena knows to back down immediately, because this many dogs, it's going to get a bit of a hiding. And so they all kind of come to the aid of one, and then that hyena will back down. If there was food, though, these hyenas are brazen. They'll come in and they'll take the bites, and they'll get a lot of kind of teeth marks to their bum, and they'll tuck their tails in, but it'll be all worth it to try and steal the food. And often what you'll find is the dogs will try and chase hyena for a while, but the more noise and commotion, more hyenas arrive, and the dogs have to kind of give it up and let it go, and the hyenas will steal the food. So constant back and forth. Some days hyenas win, some days the dogs win. Hey guys. You can also see the dogs are not too worried about the vehicle either. Suzanne, to a degree, yes. Like most animals out here, their patterning is one that is broken up. So this dog is busy sniffing the front of the car. I can just see its ears. They have this pattern that is, made up of quite dark and light tones. So you've got these kind of beiges, and you've got blacks and a bit of white in them. And that will be very similar to most animals that have a camouflage coat, which will allow them to camouflage in denser, sort of more shady areas. Even in grassland, if they're running straight without their tails kind of exposed, then you find that they are quite difficult to see. Their camouflage, then that coat just breaks up their outline and makes it a little bit tricky. What does give them away, though, is their ears, unfortunately. Those big, dark, black ears are very easily seen when they run around. Are you guys going to come and just sit with us? How wonderful. You can hear another dog calling. Look, they're going now. So there's another dog that just called from the south, and the whole pack is up and running. So we're going to try and follow them. In the meantime, though, I'm going to send you to Dumasani, who's, I don't know what he's doing, but it's something to do with the tree.
Welcome back to andBeyond Pinda. I have found a mother female cheetah with 2 cubs. So the one that's like walking, just jumped down now. That's one of the cub. And the mom, she's just up ahead.
There's a single line.
So they're running away a little bit. So we're gonna try to stick with them. We can just see a mom just halfway up ahead. We're gonna try to stick with them. It seems like they're moving around. Earlier on, we did see the impalas in the direction where they're going. So we might get lucky to see some action. So I'm gonna try to stick with them so long. And it's quite really dense where we're going right now. And for them, if they're stalking those impalas, the chances of finding the impalas or catching the impalas are much higher because of this vegetation where they are right now. There's one cub. The mom is just up ahead. So judging by the size of this cub, it's slightly bigger than the other one. And this is the male cub, one of the male cub. So the female cub, she's slightly smaller than him. But he's gonna shortly follow mom as well to try to keep up. See, he's looking around. And by the looks of it, he is quite skinny. You can just see in front of the back leg, that stomach, it's very skinny. And he's looking that direction because he saw the impalas earlier on. Okay, let's try to follow them. I don't want to lose them. And they're going to the very difficult vegetation for us to be able to follow. But we're gonna try our best to try stick with them. And these stone trees that they're moving through it, it's very, the one that I'm pushing over now, they're quite common. I think we're gonna take you to Christian with the wild dogs so long while we're still trying to find this cheetah again.
Well, as you can see, all the dogs are stopped on the road listening at the moment. The other dog is still calling, and it's definitely moving. So it seems like it's moved from kind of south of these dogs, a little bit more to the east. And these guys kind of sit and they wait, and then when they hear it calling, then it's mass chaos, and they run a little bit closer and then lie down. And there's calling again, run a little bit closer and lie down. So it's been kind of up and down since you last saw us. But for now, we've gone fairly kind of stationary at this stage. There's still one dog behind us. I haven't got an accurate count yet because dogs are just running all over the show back and forth all the time. I expect, though, it's probably one of the adults that got lost during the kind of chase of that steenbok and is now coming back to rejoin the rest of the pack. I don't think it would be a different pack, though. But what's interesting is that these guys have not responded. So we have not heard them calling back or to indicate that they're here, but they certainly are listening out at that other dog calling. Now, a lot of you might be wondering what a wild dog sounds like when it's calling. It's not something that a lot of people would associate with the dog. Now, James, you're saying it's the sandspike. It could very well be, because I haven't noticed a dog with a collar, which is what I was just sitting thinking right now. And James is really spot on with these dogs, so it could very well be. I also haven't had a puppy count. It's been a bit tricky kind of following him. There's a certain member of the Pungwe pack that I also didn't see, which is why I was wondering a little bit. But if it is the Sands pack, that's really cool. We haven't seen the Sands pack for a while. And then maybe the one that's calling couldn't be from the Pungwe pack, which would be interesting. Now, I'm going to just try and find a wild dog call for you so I can play it for you guys. Obviously going to play it incredibly soft and hold it to my cap because I don't want the dogs to react to it. I can hear a dog calling. Now maybe you'll hear it from my cap. So that is the sound of a wild dog. Now these dogs are off and we're going to have to try and keep them. Oh, this is going to be difficult. Why that dog had to call from where it's called, I don't know. It's going to make our life really tricky, but we'll try and kind of keep up with it. Oh, they're chasing a wildebeest. They're hunting a wildebeest. That's crazy. Okay. Hold on. Let's try to get through here. I wonder if they're not trying to hunt one of these little babies. There's the wildebeest on the clearing. It's running over there, and there's a hyena as well. But I think it's one of... no, it's a big bull wildebeest, so they won't go after that. It's going to be too large. One dog is kind of chasing after it, but I think it's going to be too big for them to really target. You can see the wildebeest kind of running. And often what happens with wildebeest is they'll try and surround it when they hunt it. But a big bull wildebeest like that is often way too large for them. If it had been the young wildebeest with the little babies, then it would have been a very, very different story. They would have been a lot more interested. But big adult wildebeest like this, not as easy to deal with. Let's try get a little bit closer, though. That came out of nowhere. I think they were responding more to the other dog that was calling. But look, the wildebeest is chasing them. I think the dogs got chased by the wildebeest. I just saw one dog tearing off with the wildebeest behind it rather than the other way around. Here comes a whole bunch of others from the other side. Oh, it's just absolute chaos, which is typical of wild dogs. So what we see a lot from them is just absolute madness. I'm trying to work out how many are here, because as we kind of now in a more sort of open environment, it's becoming easier to see how many dogs there are. So I can count now 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8 adults. So definitely not the Pungwe pack. In fact, there might even be more adults here. 1, 2. How many are in the Sands pack, James? Maybe if you can let us know. Like I say, it's been so long since we've seen the Sands pack. I haven't seen them, I don't think, since maybe beginning of 2019, somewhere there. So it's been a while since we've had them around. There's a big pack, that's for sure. There's a lot of dogs here. All right, let's try go around, because it looks like they're all going to start playing. Watch this little dog. You see how it's got its head down? It's already got that typical little dog stalk. Now they're all going to come together and jump on each other. Of course, it would be behind the bush and not where we can see it. You little rascals. Naughty. All right, let's try catch up with them, because they're going to follow the adults. Oh, craziness always with the dogs. But if it had been, like I say, those young wildebeest, we would have seen them doing a lot more than what they did. That was just, I think, chasing for the sake of chasing. All right, let's try catch up with the rest of them, see what else they're going to get up to today.
We're back at andBeyond in Ngala. I couldn't agree with Tristan more. It is a crazy morning following the wild dogs. I'm actually sitting at a dry mud wallow and I'm watching these 2 crowned lapwings. It seems to be a pair. And we're just listening to that red-crested korhaan that's calling consistently in the background. Absolutely stunning bird life out today. So it's really amazing to be able to sit here and take in all of those sounds. I can actually hear a Steerling's wren warbler in the background as well. It sounds almost like a telephone ringing. There, you can hear it really nicely. So we're going to sit here a little bit longer and see what else comes out today.
We're still sitting with this cheetah. She's chasing. She's busy chasing the impalas around. And she's looking. She's going to walk across the road now.
She's just stopped.
She just stopped. She's been following this impala head for quite some time. Probably she's trying to find the new lambs that are just born not too long ago. And because they are the easy target. I'm going to go slightly forward and see. She's going to cross the road shortly.
She's just behind this bush, eh?
We're going to sit tight here. We are going to see her crossing the road shortly.
She's going back to the right.
So she might want to go back to her cubs. As she comes back, she's going to go back and try to call her cubs. She does make sure that she doesn't wander too far away from the cubs. So the cubs are coming to join her now shortly. They're going to be with her. It was really amazing to see her attempting the hunt. Although it was a little bit open and the impalas were aware of her. But she was focusing on going to catch those little lambs. You might find out she's giving them the time to go away. Then after that, she will try again to stalk them again. So as she's busy following the head, there's another impala way at the distance where she's looking now.
I'm on the cubs.
So the cubs are following her slowly at the back, so that if the opportunity presents itself, they're not going to be exposed to the prey species that they're looking to hunt. She's keeping an eye on them. There's some zebras busy shouting on the right-hand side. On the left-hand side, sorry. She might be waiting for those impalas to move a little bit away. Then she will perhaps follow them shortly. Is the male cub in the front, trying to keep up with mom. And these cubs are about 7 to 8 months old. You can just see a little bit longer hair behind their neck. This is amazing to get to see another cheetah with 2 cubs. For those who were watching us yesterday, we did get to see, for those who were not with us yesterday, we did get to see a female cheetah and 2 cubs, and it ended up with cheetah in one. The other cub get caught by the crocodile, which was the sad part. But it seems like a mom, she's standing on a shade there, giving a time for those impalas to walk away, but she's still keeping an eye on the impalas. I think we're gonna go a little bit forward and reposition. You can just see her there sitting up, still looking around. I think we are going to take you to Shala with the dwarf mongoose while we still repositioning the vehicle. We're going to spend time with this cheetah.
That sounded so cute, having the cheetah mum And the cubs coming across too. Here we have some cuties. Dwarf mongoose. And they're making a whole lot of sound, communicating. So I'm going to be quiet while we listen to them. Can you hear that? Very high-pitched, so social. Always keeping in contact with each other. There's many more of them scattered. You can kind of just see them as they bounce around in the grass. Well, they like to be warm. So they'll usually only come out when it has warmed up sufficiently. Even this is a bit of a struggle. Being so small, they lose heat very quickly. So they're only active during the day and they can be nice and warm. Lerato, you'd like to know how big these mongoose get? Well, they are dwarf mongoose, and I always liken them to a tub of cream cheese, about 250 grams to around 300 grams. They're pretty tiny. And lengthwise with the tail, I would say at most 30 to 40 centimeters. This is the usual morning routine. Come out and stand on the mound or facing their bellies to the eastern side, hoping to catch the sun. Unfortunately, they're going to miss it today. It's so overcast. And they'll groom, chat a little bit. You heard the squeaking. And then they'll go out and forage. Benjamin, you'd like to know if mongoose only have one leader. These mongoose, dwarf mongoose, they're very, very social animals, and they have a dominant pair. So there's a hierarchy amongst the whole business, as we call a group of mongoose. There's a hierarchy within them, but that's a strict hierarchy within the sexes. So you'll have a dominant male, dominant female, and those are the ones that will reproduce. And then rankings underneath them. Not as complex as, say, hyena rankings, but then you will have some immigrants and things like that that will be lower ranked. But the alpha pair is the one that breeds. So they end up being quite closely related. Females will generally remain in their natal group, and then they'll kind of queue up for that dominant female position, because that means that they'll be able to breed. Oh, look at that yawn. Very, very cute. They are quite entertaining. I'm going to sit with them for a little bit longer, but I'm going to send you over to Tessa. She's got a zebra for you.
Welcome back to andBeyond and Ngala, everybody. This is one of the first zebra foals I've seen for the season. And she's just lying down, relaxing next to her mum in the grass. Her mum is looking relaxed but alert. making sure that there are no lions around. There were tracks of the Birmingham Pride coming this way this morning. And I think the little one is just taking this chance to rest. So any clearing like this is always nice as an opportunity for foals and lambs to rest. So this is quite a small dazzle of zebra. It's just this female and her foal, one other female and a stallion that we can see. And the other female is actually still very heavily pregnant. So she will probably foal within the next 2 weeks or so. What I love about zebra foals in particular is that they are so fluffy. And they're almost red in color instead of black. Their stripes on their rumps are quite red and fluffy. And I always think their faces are incredibly cute. But it's amazing to think this little foal already knows its mom by her smell, by her stripe pattern, by her sounds that she makes. So even if something were to come along and they would have to run and get separated, she would know which one is her mother, even if she's a distance away just from looking at that stripe pattern. So it's actually stunning. If you have a look at the stallion, so on the side, can you see behind his shoulder that he's got a triangle pattern? On that shoulder where the stripes from the neck meet the stripes from his back and from his front leg, there's a triangle. So that triangle is the main difference that you would see between zebras' stripe patterns. Like a fingerprint, they're all unique. But that triangular stripe pattern is actually what is easiest for the different zebras to recognize when they are looking for each other and identifying each other, because each triangle is so unique and it's quite a bold shape that sticks out from the normal stripe pattern. It makes it a lot easier for the little ones to then look at that triangular shape that they can see on the shoulder, and that's what they'll use to identify each other from a distance. So it's very interesting to see how they all differ. Some of them almost look like a T shape, some are like an upside down, some are a proper triangle, some are solid triangles. It's just unbelievable to think that with such a like a bold pattern, that these foals can actually recognize their mothers as well as other individuals in the dazzle just from that triangular shape. Obviously, if they are upwind, they can't use their scent at all to identify which is their mother until they get close enough. So it's always been fascinating to me to see how the stripe pattern differs, and fascinating to think that they can actually use that to identify each other. It's very interesting to see as well that on a zebra the stripe pattern is quite thin and close together, close to the nose and starting from the face. And then have a look as it goes back down the body, the stripes get thicker and thicker towards the rump. So this actually serves as a bit of a built-in air conditioner for them, if I can put it that way, because the stripes will attract and reflect light and heat. And so it starts on the face with tiny little microcurrents as the white stripe is reflecting heat. The black stripe next to it is absorbing the heat, and it makes a little circle as it gets pushed and then pulled back to the body. And it starts on the face and then moves all the way down to the rump. As those stripes get thicker and thicker, those circular air waves get bigger as well. So basically, even in the hot days, they are having that built-in air conditioner from their nose all the way through to their rump as the air is moving away from and back towards the body. But I'm going to sit here for a while and see what they do. Maybe that foal gets up. I'm going to send you over to andBeyond Pinda with Busani and his cheetah family.
We just follow this female cheetah. She has found herself a nice. We just follow this female cheetah. She's found a nice shady spot, and seems like she's gonna spend a day here. I think we're gonna keep quiet and try to enjoy the sound of the landscape and the sound of the bush.
And our last mongoose has just left the mound. And they've all gone out foraging. I was hoping they would stick around, but literally just left. Oh, I see another one. They've moved across, still giving us the eye. So cute. Thoroughly entertaining. These and banded mongoose are animals that so many South Africans would be familiar with from their gardens and around their homes. It's always nice to learn a little bit about them. And get to watch them out in the wild. They behave just the same as they do at home. Growing up in Durban, I used to see them all the time. Susie, you'd like to know if these mongoose are part of the Meerkat family. They are both part of the same group called Herpestidae. Herpestidae, well, yes, is their family. So within Herpestidae are mongoose of all types and meerkats. So that would be the animal that you'd be most familiar with. And Herpestidae. It's similar, or it kind of speaks to the fact that they often eat snakes. That's where the herpes part comes in. So all mongoose, as well as meerkats, fall into this family. In terms of subfamilies, the dwarf mongoose, banded mongoose, they're more closely related to meerkats. Penguin, you say they look like mini black bears? I mean, I won't say it too loudly in case they hear me, but they certainly do look like mini black ears, mini black bears with their mini ears. And very fluffy. Although they look a little bit stunned. They always have this face, though. They never look relaxed. And they're always very, very, very curious and cautious about humans. My favorite is when they just pop out and look at you. And you won't even move. But they seem to react to your breath or something. They suddenly dart off. They're so full of character. So cool. Anyway, I might just sit with them a tad longer and see if anything happens, but I'm going to send you over to Tristan, and his dogs are very active.
Well, you're sitting with your dwarf mongoose. We're trying to keep up with these wild dogs, but it's not the easiest thing. They're going back and forth all over the place. I'm sure it's about to be seriously chaotic, though, because we're now getting closer towards quarantine. And if they get onto quarantine, it's going to be chaos. There's so many young animals in quarantine, and in this weather, they should still be on the open area. I don't think they would have left the open area just yet. So it's going to be pretty interesting to see what happens. What's also been interesting is to see how these dogs have followed the scent of where Shadulu walked yesterday, and also where Tingana and Shadulu had that scrub hare kill. They've been sniffing about all over those areas, kind of, I think, just seeing if there's any sign of these cats still around. The wild dog is not a fan of a leopard, and that's because, well, leopards are incredibly dangerous to wild dogs, and constantly are causing problems for them, so they typically don't like when leopards are around, and so they're very, very wary when they see leopards. Now, what would be interesting to know is, I mean, like I said, I don't know if the Sands Pack has been seen much of late, but if they have, I'd be surprised. But if they haven't been seen, because they've been spending so little time here, I wonder if some of these dogs have absolutely no idea about this area. There will be a couple members that would have been here before, but, you know, particularly the pups will be a bit unsure of part and parcel of what's going on. And you can see this dog is almost kind of waiting for the rest of them. He seems to be the one that's always in the front, kind of trying to pull them along. And there's a lighter colored individual that's up front, but I can't see if it's the male or a female, because there's light-colored male too, and they're the ones that constantly kind of walking in the front, trying to almost get everybody to start doing something, but the puppies keep kind of running off in their own direction, which then drags the rest of the adults as well. But it's so cool to see them and to spend time with them, and we've been lucky this morning. We've had a long sighting, all things considered, because we know when they get going and when they run around, it can be really tricky. Now, we're going to have to try and see if we can get a proper count on what's going on here, because I still haven't got an exact number just yet. Now, we've just spoken about this a little bit earlier. You're asking about dogs and how they become alpha males. Well, typically what happens is they're born into a pack. They then typically disperse from that pack. It's sometimes not the case, but a lot of the time the dogs will disperse, and you'll find male dogs will then find a female dog, and either that female is going to be a dispersal from another pack, or they're going to go into another pack, and they're going to then challenge for that alpha male status. So it just depends on kind of how it plays out, but that's generally the way that things would work. The most common is the dispersal of male dogs that join up with a dispersal female and create a new pack, and then an alphas are formed from that. But they're having the best time playing on the road. Unfortunately, can't move too much because otherwise we're going to cut off other vehicles, and so we don't want to do that. I love it when the dogs do this and they kind of chase each other and then they can rear up, and it just looks like they're having the best time. And I mean, we all can associate with that. Many of us that have had dogs would know how dogs play, and it's exactly the same with these guys. Jerome, you're asking if it's true that wild dogs have an extra digit on their paws, only wild dogs. So I think what you're referring to, what only wild dogs have, is a fused toe. So these guys, their two middle toes are fused together, which only wild dogs have, except for a service dog in Iraq, of all places. A vet friend of mine the other day was doing work on the service dogs in Iraq, and he was saying that they came across this one dog that has fused toes in the middle, which is really, really interesting. But generally what you're finding is that it's only really wild dogs that have those fused toes. Very, very, very few. Very, very few other dogs display it. So like I say, bar this one dog in Iraq. So we're just going to try and position there rather than blocking anybody off. And try and kind of keep ourselves out of the way. Cool though to see. Alright, well, they're heading into a place where I don't know if we're going to get much more of a visual, but we'll try and keep up with them for as long as we can.
We're still sitting with this cheetah. It's really nice to see those wild dogs with Tristan. We're sitting these cheetahs, and they still got their head up, looking around. It seems like the cubs at the back, they just falling asleep now. And the mom, she's got eyes closed. Can you see her ears are facing backwards, where she's not watching or where she's not facing, so that she can hear something that's approaching from behind. And have a look on her paws to see those claws are sticking out. And she used those claws to grip while she's chasing something. Oh, she's just had something. There's some zebras that are coming close to her. But they have stopped alarming now, so they want to quickly investigate. And the impalas are not that far away from her. We're going to try to show you impalas and zebras. Can you get to them, Claire? I'm going to quickly show you the impalas and zebras. You can just see them behind us. Just over there. And not too far away. They're less than 100 meters away. But the impalas that I can see there, it seems like they're all male impalas. So the female impalas and the little lambs, they have moved away. See, the zebras are not feeding, and only one got the head down. I think it's because they saw that it was a cheetah, it wasn't a lion. If it was a lion, the zebra will be away on this area. And also they want to keep an eye onto the predator. Bob is asking whether the cheetah can take down a zebra. The answer is, with the female cheetah, she's not gonna take down a fully grown zebra. If there were 2 male cheetahs, then definitely they will take down the zebra foal, not a fully grown zebra. So those zebras, I can't really see the younger ones, so they all are fully grown zebras. So they're still looking around, keeping an eye on the predator, and make sure that they can still see the predator. If this cheetah has to, she's just sit up now. Glenn he's going to show you the cheetah now sitting up. And she is looking around. So the zebras are also aware of the cheetah. So if those zebras has to come closer and closer in this direction of the cheetah, then perhaps the cheetah will then move away. Because it happens that the zebra, if they see a young cheetah cub, they will try to chase it and try to step on it with the front legs. I have seen that before with the zebras. And there's a warthog also. I think we're gonna sit tight where we are and watch and see what's gonna happen.
We have a critter. Oh, look at it, how it walked into frame. That was excellent. There's a little millipede making its way across our northern boundary. It has just exited Buffelshoek and made its way on to Juma. Love it when an animal crosses into the property. Look at those little legs going and going and going. That was a crested francolin. It actually startled me when it made that sound. There it is. Oh, we have a millipede crossing into Juma and a crested francolin crossing out of Juma into Buffelshoek. And now we are left with no more critters. Are you still there? No, it has moved on, but there is a really pretty flower there called the String of Stars. Oh, there's our millipede. Very cool. And now this little critter is into Juma.
As you can see, the dogs have gone stationary. They've decided enough for one morning. Well, for now at least. But they're having a bit of a rest. Unfortunately, their rest is not going to be a good one today. And that's because where they are sleeping is on the main road. That is the access road for Juma, which means that these dogs are going to, unfortunately, have a few cars coming in and out through the course of the day, which means their spot to lie in the road is not going to be a good one. So hopefully what they do is they just get up and lie just off the road, and then this afternoon get going again and head towards maybe quarantine, and then it would be quite interesting to see what happens. The reason why I was quite keen to see them go towards quarantine is not because I want them to eat anything there, but the interaction between them and that herd of wildebeest would have been absolutely fascinating. With that new baby that they've got, those wildebeest would have been hugely defensive, and it would have been such an amazing thing to watch on an open clearing like quarantine, where you're going to get the wildebeest will form a kind of corral around this little baby, and then the dogs will come around it, and it's this kind of game of cat and mouse, and generally the wildebeest win it. They're pretty good at organizing themselves and then keeping these guys at bay, but it would have just been fascinating to watch, particularly because it seems like the pups of this particular pack are running with them as they're hunting, and that means that they're going to be learning how to kind of go about things, and that fascinating kind of interaction between two sets of young animals, so young wildebeest and young wild dogs versus, adult wildebeest and adult wild dogs, and how each are trying to teach their young how to defend themselves or how to hunt. Fascinating kind of interaction, but let's see, maybe this afternoon it will happen. I suspect, though, that more than likely, if they do go to quarantine, they're going to bypass the wildebeest and chase the impala lambs more than anything else. These guys are super efficient at hunting impala lambs. It's why at this time of the year, whenever you see a wild dog, it has this big tummy and looks fat and full. And that's because they just go after lambs, and watching them running through the blocks, you can see all they're doing is sniffing and looking for any signs of a lamb that might be hiding, and then they kind of kill those and eat them. And a pack of this size will easily go through 6-7 lambs in a morning, no problem. Also, you're asking how long is the gestation period for a female wild dog? I think, if I'm not mistaken, 60 odd days. Is that right, Marcel? I can't even remember now. It's been a while, but it's short. It's, I think, 2 months. So it's just over 60 days, 65 days, somewhere there. My brain's getting old, so sometimes it takes me a while to remember these things. But it's a very short gestation period. Much like most predators, they can't afford to have long gestations, because otherwise you end up in a situation where if they have very long gestations, they get too big and too wide. So there we go, 71 days, so I was 5 days off. But they get too big and too developed, and they can't hunt properly, and so you find a situation where they just kind of come down, or they have to get rid of that little baby as quick as possible in order to get that stomach down to be more comfortable and enable themselves to hunt. So all predators have very short gestation periods. But with the dogs, what fascinates me about their gestation periods as being so short is that they can have very big litter sizes. So you can sometimes find these dogs will have 20 pups, and they develop in that short amount of time, which is amazing. All right, from one endangered carnivore, let's send you down to andBeyond Pinda with Busani and another endangered carnivore.
Welcome back, everyone. We're still sitting with this cheetah, and she's just put her head up, and the zebras has come a little bit closer than where they were, and now they're slowly walking away. And the impalas are still close by. So which is the good thing, if she does start moving around here, perhaps she's going to head straight where the impalas are. You can just see some little lambs there, whereby if she does manage to catch a little lamb, the cubs are getting to the stage whereby she's going to start teaching them how to hunt, how to kill the prey. So what she will do is she will chase and caught a little lamb and paralyze it and bring it back to the cubs. And then the cubs will be playing with that lamb. And eventually they'll, sometimes you'll see the cubs, because they don't know where to kill the prey species. Sometimes you'll see them start eating while it's still alive, which is quite horrible to watch. She's still looking around. So in the direction where she's looking, the big male warthog walk across, and she's keeping an eye on that big male warthogs. I have seen the male warthogs before chasing the cheetah. Even if the cheetah managed to catch something while they're feeding, I have seen the warthogs come and chase the cheetah away from the carcass, and they will feed on the carcass. And warthogs are very tough. They got a lot of muscles around the neck, and they don't die very easily. Because of the cheetah's got tiny little teeth, and it can't really suffocate the warthogs nicely. That is why they don't really go for warthogs. And with the warthogs, they've got very sharp tusks as well. She could put herself in danger. It seems like she's quite happy with the shady spot where she is. I think the reason why she's not going for those impalas, I think the reason why she's not going to those impalas, it's because of the zebra between them and impalas. I think we're going to go to Shala now, and he's found the Warbeck's eagle.
We have our lovely Warbeck's eagle. Oh, and it called for us. I hope you all feel special. Oh, hoping it would do it again. There you see the very obvious crest, which what makes the Warbeck's eagle quite easy to identify. It's sitting in a position where it's likely able to see its nest, but taking some time away from it for the moment. We see it here near Gari Cutline quite often, actually. The clouds are starting to roll in, and we're getting a little bit of a drizzle, which means that it's the perfect time to wrap up. Go home and get a bit of breakfast. I know that's what we're going to do. And wherever you are, I hope that you also go and grab a snack. Or maybe not, whatever you like. But it's that time of the drive when we're going to end off. It's been wonderful. Tristan has had some excellent luck. And also seeing the cheetah cubs spending time with various antelopes and looking at some flowers. It has been one of variety. Will our Warbeck's eagle call for us again before we have to actually say goodbye? I believe that is a no. All right, everyone. Thank you so much for joining us, for your questions and your comments. We will see you this afternoon for Sunset Safari. Bye-bye for now.
This program features live coverage of an African safari and may include animal kills and carcasses. Viewer discretion is advised.
Well, it's a perfectly windy, cold, moody afternoon, which makes the conditions just right for our wildebeest herd and impalas to be out in the opens of quarantine. And that means that maybe, just maybe, the predators will be active this afternoon as well. So it should be an exciting afternoon. We're going to try and see if we can follow up on the tracks we had this morning.